On December 12th, the 22nd year of Water Blue Star, I am still working through the fact that I have just drowned, pulled into a river by a big fish while fishing, and woken up reincarnated into a parallel world. I am Soyu. I am 23 years old, and right now I am staring up at a sky stained a deep crimson red, looking like the omen of an apocalypse, while a cold, emotionless voice rolls down out of nowhere. The voice tells the world to fade to silence, all things to return to the void, and congratulates whoever is listening on facing a new life. The instant the words finish, the water blue star where I had just been living vanishes from the cosmos as though it had never existed at all. When my consciousness comes back, my head is still hazy, and I curse to myself wondering where I have transmigrated to this time. I struggle to sit up, get a clear look at my surroundings, and decide I am truly done for. I have landed in the middle of the ocean. The patch of land beneath me is bare, no more than 100 square meters, surrounded on every side by seawater, and I am hit by a wave of utter despair. Then a half-mechanical voice rings in my ear and welcomes me to the endless sea of the return to void, telling me my current location is mine and listing the important matters I should review. The voice walks me through the rules. Each newcomer can claim a novice survival treasure chest with random contents. Each newcomer is gifted a novice fishing rod with 10 portions of bait, and the rod is used with bait to fish items out of the sea. The newcomer's island has a 7-day novice protection period. I am told to strive to increase my island's level and prosperity value, since higher prosperity value grants more privileges. Each newcomer awakens one talent, and the talent depends on personal luck. The grades run from SSS at the highest to F at the lowest, and the talent's abilities are mine to discover. After the protection period ends, the voice warns, all kinds of unexpected situations may come, so I had better build my island to cope. The light screen vanishes once I have read it through, and another translucent panel takes its place. I am level 1 Island Lord. My name is Soyu, age 23, with Strength 1, Constitution 1, and Spirit 1.5, plus 1 of each as an island bonus that ends the moment I leave. My island prosperity value is 0. The talent line is what stops me cold, an SSS grade insight talent and an unknown grade talent called Double Happiness, listed as upgradable. Below that I see a regional communication channel and a regional trading channel. Looking at the 2 talents, I cannot help wondering whether transmigrating twice is what got me 2 talents both at the highest grade with 1 even at unknown level. This is practically a bug. As the thought finishes, the talent details appear in front of me. The insight talent lets me perceive all things and find information ordinary people cannot, with power that scales as my strength rises, and a note that when the insight talent detects an entity it cannot probe, it automatically goes into a concealed state. The Double Happiness talent doubles the resources I get from opening treasure chests, with upgrade conditions unknown, and a note that special chests require completing the chest's trial to obtain double rewards. After reading both, I tell myself the combination is simply perfect. I do not rush into the channels yet. My eye catches a golden novice survival treasure chest on the screen, with a shadowy fishing rod beside it. The system asks whether I will claim the chest, the rod, and the bait. I confirm. The chest opens, my Double Happiness triggers automatically, and the system rewards me with 2 1.5-liter mineral waters and 2 5-packs of WAIFU instant noodles. I am dumbfounded. The chest's golden surface had me hoping for something good, and instead it gave me instant noodles and counterfeit ones at that. The items materialize in front of me. The rod, 10 portions of bait, 2 large bottles of mineral water, and 10 packs of noodles. The descriptions roll out as I focus. The mineral water is ordinary drinking water that prevents death from thirst in the early stages. The Kangshuifu noodles tease that 1 pack is not enough, and 2 are too much, with the system recommending hot water rather than chewing them dry. The novice fishing rod sits at 100 out of 100 durability, loses 1 durability per item fished, and can be upgraded with a fishing rod blueprint. The ordinary bait can lure ordinary half-star to 2-star wooden treasure chests from the sea, with a footnote explaining that 1 half-circle marker is half a star, and 1 full marker is 1 full star. I weigh the rod in my hand a few times, but do not start fishing yet. I tap into the 2 channels to see what the rest of the world is doing. The regional communication channel forms small regions of 5,000 people each, and each person can send 10 free messages a day, with the top-ranked island getting 5 extra slots. The regional trading channel lets me put items up for trade or exchange, with a maximum of 10 trades per day and the same 5 extra slot bonus for the top rank. I step into the communication channel first, and a wall of messages is already scrolling. Most of the chatter is people complaining about the novice chests. One survivor curses out the system for giving him pots, bowls, and plates instead of water and food. Another marvels that he got 3 kilograms of rice but no water. A third asks the channel what a doll is supposed to do for him. Reading the wall, I tell myself getting water and noodles was actually quite lucky. The flow has not yet built into a screen-filling stampede, since most people have not fully reacted. So after a quick scan, I pull out and head to the edge of my little island with the rod in hand. I do not cast immediately. I let my insight talent settle on the water in front of me. A line of text flashes across my eyes, telling me the treasure chest resources beneath the stretch of sea are scarce and common, and recommending I change spots. I turn and walk to another edge. The next reading tells me the resources here are average, and again recommends a change. I pivot again, and finally a third reading tells me the resources beneath this water are abundant, and recommends fishing here. My spirits lift. I cast the rod gently, the float drops into the water, and I sit cross-legged on the ground, gripping the rod tightly. Fishing is patience, so my expression does not change as time slides by. Then the float plunges. I jerk the rod and a small wooden chest surfaces, a 1-star common wood treasure chest. 10 pieces of ordinary wood inside, simply dragged ashore. My insight talent reads it for me before I have even pulled it onto the island. I tug it ashore without resistance and touch it to confirm the prompt. The system asks whether I want to open it. I confirm, and the double happiness talent triggers. I obtain 10 pieces of ordinary wood times 2. The chest dissipates. The wood appears in front of me, and the description tells me it can be used to build wooden houses, furniture, and as burning fuel, that I can fish a wooden house blueprint to put it together myself, and that 100 pieces of wood will build a 15 square meter shelter. I am only a fraction of the way there, so I keep fishing. I drop back into the rod and float routine and scroll the channel to keep myself sane. By now my regional channel has come alive. One survivor complains about pulling up a damaged chest only to find a pair of waterlogged stinky socks. Another tries to console him by pointing out that his first chest only contained 2 pieces of bread. A third snaps at both of them and tells them to get lost. Then someone offers private pictures of stockings for 1 bottle of water, and the next message tells the seller off as a delusional lowlife looking for a freebie. The channel is largely a place for people to vent. I have already died once and immediately hit a collective transmigration after, so I am thick-skinned by comparison, and I keep one eye on the float. The float plunges hard. I yank the rod and feel a real resistance underwater this time, very different from the first chest. Thanks to the island bonus, my strength is twice what it was before transmigration, but I am not stupid enough to break the rod with brute force. After working a few common fishing techniques, I bring the chest to the surface, and the insight reads it as a 1-star common wood chest containing a Type 59 pistol and 8 rounds of ammunition, with a note that the technique is intermittent forceful pulling and not brute force, or it will unhook. My spirits lift again, even though I cannot see how a gun helps me right this second. Having one is better than not. With insight on my side, I do not try to brute force it. I walk back and forth on the island, working the chest closer in. With one final surge, I bring it up onto the shore, open it, and the prompt confirms a Type 59 pistol with an 8-round magazine, a 50-meter effective range, and decent lethality against ordinary humans and animals. Limited range, so the system recommends close range for maximum effect. With double happiness, I get 2 pistols and 16 rounds. A flicker of excitement runs through me. Since in the peaceful era I came from, an ordinary person rarely handles a real gun. I load the magazine, fumble a little, raise the pistol and aim at a stack of wood, not far away. The shot rings out. I do not waste any more rounds. A gun without ammo is scrap metal, so I will use them sparingly. I set the gun aside and throw myself back into fishing. Life on this island is monotonous, but I have a cheat tier insight talent and a monstrous double happiness on top of it, while everyone else is coming up empty or pulling up junk. Without insight pointing me at a rich fishing zone, my situation would look the same as theirs. Another float dip, another joy spike, but the moment I yank back, I am dragged off balance, almost into the water. If I had been a meter closer to the edge, I would have been in the sea. I grip the rod with both hands, pull cautiously, and notice that any retreat I make immediately costs me a step forward. I am not startled, I am delighted. Through 2 insight prompts, I have already deduced that the higher the chest's star rating, the harder the struggle, and the force on this rod is far stronger than the first 1-star chest. My guess matches what surfaces. A 2-star ordinary monster treasure chest contents. 1 low-level goblin, with a note that opening it releases the goblin and that I have to defeat or kill the goblin to claim the reward. The goblin's stats read out next. Strength 1.5, Constitution 2, Spirit 1.5, weapon a broadsword, and the description calls it the most trashy of goblins with simple construction abilities. Insight gives me a strategy too, telling me the best play with my current items is to use firearms. The information is far richer than what the wood chests offered, which means a special chest and I am instantly interested. If I had fished this up before the firearms, I might have hesitated, since the goblin has a weapon, but with 2 pistols on hand, the insight has already handed me the whole strategy. The tug of war runs about 20 minutes of extreme pulling before I bring the monster chest up. I set the rod aside, pick up both Type 59 pistols, touch the chest, and silently open it. I retreat a distance and stare at the spot. White light flashes, and a hunched figure under 1.5 meters tall appears in front of me. I pull the trigger before the goblin has time to register where it is. The first burst tears multiple panes across its body. Its vision drops out, and it collapses. To be safe, I empty 5 rounds into it, leaving 5 neat holes. The system pings. I have killed the goblin inside the 2-star ordinary monster treasure chest, and I can choose one of 2 rewards. 1 low-level goblin slave, where the low-level goblins construction knowledge. I choose the slave without hesitation. Double happiness triggers and the system gives me 2 slaves. 2 more goblins identical to the dead one materialize in front of me, while the corpse on the ground simply dissipates. The slave panel reads back to me. Low-level goblin, identity slave, loyalty 100 and unable to betray, strength 1.5, constitution 2, spirit 1.5, skill basic construction, weapon greatsword, with a description telling me the cheapest labor force survives on a small amount of food, and has been implanted with the common language. The 2 goblins fill with fervent expressions the moment they see me, kneel, and try to kiss my shoes. I move my foot away with disdain and tell them in a deep voice to use the logs to make me a wooden bed, a wooden table, and some wooden stools. They reply at once that their servants understand and nod rapidly. With loyalty pinned at 100, they would walk into the sea on a single word. So the carpentry order is nothing. They scoop up their greatswords and rush at the woodpile. The system pings me a moment later. My island's prosperity value has risen, and I am ranked first in this area, with the privilege of holding the top spot if I keep it for 6 hours. Hearing that, I let out a small surprise noise. Because I was the first to break past 0 prosperity, the channel is now buzzing about it. A regional ranking panel appears in front of me, putting me first at 10 prosperity, with second and third places empty, and the time on rank counter ticking. I pull up my own attribute panel, same as before, but with a slaves-owned line crediting 2 low-level goblins for 10 prosperity, and an updated note that I am currently first. The number of living beings on the island ties directly to the prosperity value, which clicks for me immediately. I sink my thoughts into the communication channel to see how the rest of the world is taking it. The wall is full of people praising the new top-ranked big shot and begging the big shot to say something, and many of them are asking how to raise prosperity. I feel nothing about the praise, but for the sake of future trade, I do not pretend to be aloof, and my development speed is fast enough that no one in this area will catch up to me. I type out a long message telling the channel that island prosperity is closely tied to the number of living beings on the island, and to island buildings, and that anyone who uses materials to build a thatched hut shelter will see for themselves. Once the message goes up, a chorus of thanks fills the channel, and underneath the thanks, the same old chaos. One player thanks me for the info and offers black stockings. Another begs me for water. The rest wail at being already broken on day 1. I ignore the begging. I cannot give my own rations to others. Whoever wants to do that can do it. I tap into the trading channel. By now there are quite a few listings. A Wang offering 5 porcelain bowls for 2 bottles of water, or 2 packs of noodles. A Jew offering 5 portions of wood for 1 bottle of water, or 1 piece of bread. A Li offering 10 portions of wood for cold medicine and 1 bottle of water or bread. Most listings are people trying to acquire water and food, and the most traded item is wood. After organizing my own pack, I realize I am poor in tradable goods. I tell myself I had better fish up something usable later, exit the channel, and go back to fishing. After I leave the channel, someone else starts frantically buying up everything that is being traded for water. On his island, Wang Dong feels God has been very kind to him. He just fished up a large red plastic barrel, and the sky immediately opens into a downpour. With no shelter, he hugs the barrel tightly to keep the wind from carrying it off. And by the time the rain passes, he has half a barrel of water. That half barrel is enough to make him a tycoon at this stage, since seawater cannot be drunk, and freshwater is the resource of the day. With only 10 trades a day though, even Wang Dong has to be selective. Meanwhile, on my own water, my hook drops, the float dips, and I yank the rod with disappointment in my face. There is no resistance, another 1-star chest, dragged in without struggle. I open it without checking the description first, and the system pings. I have opened a half-star ordinary wooden chest, double happiness triggers, and I receive 2 boxes of 50 windproof lighters. My grin spreads. I have something to trade now. Anyone without a way to make fire will need one, and not everyone can rub sticks together to make a flame. I set the 2 boxes of lighters aside and turn to the 2 goblins, who are working hard but using their large knives to trim wood, which is genuinely awkward for tables and stools. I list a few lighters on the trading channel. My listing offers 5 windproof lighters and asks, for each lighter, for one of any of a handsaw, chisel, axe, plane, or hammer. After listing, I do not stare at the channel, I just pick the rod back up and keep fishing. I still have 6 portions of ordinary bait, enough for 6 more chests. The thing I want most right now is the material for making bait, ordinary energy crystal, because that is the most important early item. I know the recipe because, after I examined the bait carefully, the insight talent fed me its composition. Whether I can fish one up is luck, and someone may have already pulled one without listing it for sale, since this kind of crystal is not something an ordinary person would dump on the channel even if they did not know its use. I figure it cannot be very hard to obtain, otherwise relying on the 10 gifted bait portions would not get half the players past the novice period. Time slides by while I fish. By the time I am down to my last 2 bait portions, My 4 interim attempts have produced a half-star ordinary wooden house blueprint that builds a 15 square meter wooden house when placed on 100 pieces of wood, a half-star fresh apple of more than 95% freshness recommended for storage in a cool place, a 2-star ordinary energy crystal that can make 30 portions of ordinary bait when crushed and mixed into flour, and a half-star ordinary bamboo mat for sleeping comfort. After fishing up the energy crystal, my heart relaxes. Compared to a crystal, I cannot believe nobody in the whole region will pull up flour. The last 2 casts I take in a relaxed posture. The system pings to tell me all my windproof lighters have sold, and asks if I want to retrieve the traded items. I leave them in the inbox for now, since no chest has bit yet. Then the rod sinks heavy in my hand. After 8 casts, I have already learned the feel of the different star ratings, and even before I pull, I know this is a 1-star chest. I drag it up. It is exactly as I expected, a 1-star common wood chest containing a set of pots, bowls, ladles, chopsticks, and a soup spoon. I tell myself I will at least have a bowl for noodles tonight. I cast the last line. The bait barely lands before the float dips. I yank. The force feels 2-star, and I cannot help muttering at how good this last cast is, like catching a big fish. The feeling is exhilarating. As I pull, the insight reveals a 2-star ordinary wooden chest containing an ordinary small car with a full fuel tank, and a note recommending I do not drive on the island. I am too stunned for words. Even knowing chests can hold all sorts of things, I had not expected to fish up a car. On an island 10 meters wide, one step in any direction puts you in the sea feeding the chests. Still, the car is not useless. Until the wooden house is built, I can sleep in it more comfortably than on the ground, and the fuel can be drained for other uses. After a hard pull, I land the 2-star chest. I carry it and the rod over to the 2 goblins, who freeze and kneel and salute me as soon as they see me approach, calling me master. Looking at the half-built bed and table, their pace has been good. With a single thought, I trigger double happiness, and 2 Toyota cars appear on the small island instead of 1. The miracle scares the goblins back to their knees. I tell them in a deep voice to get up and back to work. I open one Toyota's door, slide in, adjust the seat back, and let myself relax. 10 casts is mentally taxing, and my body and mind are spent. Most other players' loads would not be as heavy, since they did not have my luck pulling up 2-star chests in 10 attempts. The average person basically only pulls damaged chests, with ordinary chests as a majority and 1-star chests a minority. As for 2-star common wood chests, without my insight to find rich fishing zones, hooking one is luck, and even when one bites, reeling it in is another matter. I was able to pull mine in because the insight comes with a treasure chest guide, which is essentially cheating. I lie back on the seat with an apple in one hand and dip my thoughts back into the communication channel to see whether anyone has dug up something useful. The wall is sparse this time, no more constant scrolling, and a system ping tells me my region's prosperity value has met the leaderboard criteria, granting me the privileges of being number 1. I get 5 additional daily trades and pinning rights on the trade channel, 5 additional daily messages with pinning rights on the chat channel, and a series of leaderboard treasure chest rewards as I accumulate time at the top, on intervals of 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, and so on. My expression turns heavy as I scroll, because the chat is now hard to read. Players are begging the system to send them home, claiming their child is only a year old, and others are lamenting whether the children and elderly were also dragged into this damned world. The system answers everyone in the same breath, telling all survivors that humans under 14 and over 60 have other arrangements and that the only way to see loved ones again is to live. The line ignites hope across the channel. I belong to the Lone Star type myself, alone before the transmigration, and alone after, with no one waiting for me, so the message hits me lighter than most. The channel snaps back into life as people promise themselves they will live. Someone asks for any useful tips and complains he has fished only junk all day. Another says fishing is luck-based and he has caught nothing memorable. A third moans that his old gaming luck was already terrible. A fourth asks his neighbor to leave behind any supplies before he goes. The neighbor tells him to drop dead first. I stop bothering with the channel and tap into the trade channel. I run a keyword search for flour, and a dozen odd listings pop up. A Wang offers 1 kilogram of flour for 9/10 of a kilogram of bread or noodles. A Jew offers 2 kilograms of flour for 1, and 8/10 of a kilogram of any food that does not require cooking. Most flour listings ask for ready-to-eat food in exchange. After looking at the size of an instant noodle pack, only 100 grams, I drop the noodles for flour idea and decide to try a windproof lighter instead. I list 1 windproof lighter for 300 grams of flour, with 2 trades available, and tell myself I will eat first and see what happens. I exit the trade channel, push the car door open and step out. I tell the 2 goblins to use the lighter to set fire to a few pieces of wood and warm a pot. I demonstrate by clicking a windproof lighter in my hand, then toss it to them. The 2 slaves, loyal as they are, scurry off to start the fire. With the wood scraps already left from the bed and stool work, the fire takes quickly. I pour mineral water into the pot, set the pot on the fire, and after 2 or 3 minutes, when the water is almost boiling, I tear open a packet of instant noodles and drop it in. The aroma of the seasoning starts to lift into the air. The 2 goblins beside me stare at the pot and keep swallowing saliva, but they would never dare reach for it without my word. I stir the water with chopsticks. 3 minutes later, a steaming pot of noodles is ready. I pour everything into a bowl, and the two goblins keep staring at me. After a moment of consideration, I tell them to go ahead and cook for themselves, and to wash the pot and bowls when done. I am not stingy enough to refuse my labor a meal, especially since these two are still useful and can take all the dirty, tiring work off me. I throw 2 packets of noodles their way. If I were any other survivor, I might think twice about feeding the slaves, since no one can guarantee a steady food source. But I am not worried at all. I already have the energy crystals to make ordinary bait, and I am only short on flour. With 2 energy crystals, I can make a full 60 servings of bait, and with my insight talent, I will not waste casts on garbage, so my food supply is locked in for the long run. The system pings. Both windproof lighters I uploaded have been traded, and it asks for a container to pull the goods. I nearly choke on the noodles. I curse the system for not waiting until I finish, then choose to extract into the plate on the ground. 600 grams of pure white flour appears in the plate, and at the same time, a windproof lighter materializes in front of each of the 2 trade partners. I quickly finish my noodles, take a satisfying sip of soup, and set the bowl aside for the goblins to wash later. I drop 2 ordinary energy crystals into the plate and pick up the hammer. I crush the energy crystals with the hammer until they are powder, then drop the hammer and start kneading by hand. By the end of the work, 60 portions of fresh ordinary bait sit in the plate. I let out a small sigh of relief. Then I think about it again. The only reason I could craft bait is that Insight told me the materials. How are other ordinary survivors supposed to manage when their bait runs out? I do not want everyone in this region to die and leave me alone, since the trade channel only matters when the population matters, and my own development needs other players' supplies in circulation. I tap into the chat to see whether anyone is discussing the issue. People are talking about it, but no one has cracked a solution. After a moment of thought, I compose a message of my own, telling the channel I am buying ordinary energy crystals, and inviting interested sellers to private message me with a picture. I pin the message, since pinning is my privilege as the top-ranked player, and I would rather use it than waste it. The pin instantly draws attention. The wall reacts at once. Someone marvels that the top-ranked boss has pinned a message. Another asks what an ordinary energy crystal even does, and whether anyone knowledgeable can explain. A third laughs that the item must be very rare, says he wishes he had one to extort a good price out of me, and admits he does not know what it is for. The speculation runs because, after all, I have been first in island prosperity from the start, which means my construction is the best in the region. The system pings to update the regional ranking, with first place unchanged but the rest of the top 100 filling in. I am still first at 20 prosperity, with 7 hours and change on the leaderboard. Zhou Yil is second at 10 prosperity. Wang Ok is third at 9. Jie Chung Yu is fourth at 8. Wang Deichu sits in 100th at 1 prosperity. The system follows up with the daily prosperity rewards, basic only, with ranked treasure chests reserved for the top 10. First place gets 20 portions of ordinary bait a day, second 15, third 10, 4th through 10th 8, 11th through 20th 6, 21st through 50th 4, 51st through 103, and anyone past 100th gets 1 portion as a minimum. The chat detonates the moment the rewards are read out. People wail that anyone past 100th gets only 1 portion a day and ask how they are supposed to live. Others marvel at first place getting 20 times what they get. Someone tells the channel not to worry, that there must be other ways to get bait. The top 10 gets begged to share how their prosperity rose so fast. I let out a small startled sound. So holding the rank also gives bait, and the system is essentially running a goo-raising model with all of us in the jar. The picture is clear now. The higher one ranks, the more resources flow in. Anyone past 100th has to climb on personal ability or rely on extreme fishing luck. Then the system pings me with a private chat request from Wang Dung. I had set a filter on private chats so that only those who possess an ordinary energy crystal can request, and the system can detect ownership the same way it labels items in the trade channel. Otherwise, everyone would private chat me to death. I accept, and a message from Wang Dung lands in front of me. He calls me Boss Soyu, says he has the energy crystal I am looking for and is willing to trade, and asks me what the crystal is actually used for. On his island, Wang Dung is staring nervously at the screen. He does not have my insight talent, so he can only see item names, but by trial and error he had figured out which star ratings of chests yield the more valuable items, and that is why he has not posted the crystals to the trade channel. He simply does not know what would be a fair trade. I think for a moment, then type that 1 ordinary energy crystal can be traded for the use of this item only, and that no other items can be exchanged on top of it. Daily trades have a hard cap, and I had better take advantage of this information before it spreads. Wang Dung hesitates over the message. The 2 crystals are obviously rarer than daily necessities, but rarity without purpose is scrap, and after some thought he decides to spend 1 to learn what it does. He calls me Senior Soyu and tells me he will take the deal, just put something up on the trade channel. I nod to myself at the directness, the man is decisive, and post a windproof lighter on the trade channel for 1 ordinary energy crystal. I have a glut of lighters and could not be bothered to dig out anything else. Wang Dung is refreshing the trade channel with the same keyword, sees the listing, and confirms the trade instantly. The system pings me on a successful trade. I retrieve the crystal, smile to myself, and message Wang Dong the full use. Crush it and add it to 300 grams of ordinary flour. Knead and you obtain 30 servings of ordinary bait. I give him the complete formula instead of trying to trick him, because the only way the region develops is if everyone gets their bait worked out. I do not care about something this basic. The bait can only catch up to 2-star chests anyway. On his island, Wang Dong's breathing quickens. The formula is far more valuable to him than a single crystal, since without the formula his crystal is just an ordinary stone. He thanks me at length and I tell him equal trade, and to private message me again if he later has good items. I exit the chat and grab my rod, since I have eaten and rested and now have 60 portions of ordinary bait sitting in my plate, plus 1 crystal still uncrafted, so if I do not fish hard the bait pile will only swell. I look at the sky. There is daylight left. I walk to my old fishing spot, and insight tells me the resources here are now only average, so the chest locations under the sea are not fixed, they shift over time. I move again. The next reading tells me the spot is barren. I shake my head and move again. After 9 relocations, I finally find a spot reading abundant. Without insight, this would be deadly. I cast the rod and the P-braided line goes flying. Whether luck possesses me or what, in the next hour and a half I pull up 10 chests in a row. The breakdown comes to 4 1-star chests, 3 1.5-star chests, and 3 2-star chests. The 1-stars give me 40 pieces of ordinary wood, 2 cartons of Manhwa cigarettes, 2 5-kilogram bags of rice, and 4 500-gram bags of edible salt. The 1.5s give me 2 20-liter cans of diesel, 2 luxury massage chairs, and 2 25-kilogram bags of cement. The 2-stars give me 2 ordinary fishing rod blueprints, 2 ordinary bungalow construction blueprints, and 4 enhanced bait. My eyes settle on the 2-star drop since the other items are familiar enough that I do not need insight to read them. The ordinary fishing rod blueprint upgrades the novice rod and asks for 1 fiberglass, 1 P-braided line, and 1 carbon cloth. The ordinary bungalow construction blueprint builds a 30 square meter ordinary bungalow and asks for 25 cement, 200 red bricks, and 100 sand. The enhanced bait fishes for 2.5-star to 5-star chests, with a note recommending an upgraded rod since the novice rod can break under enhanced bait. Honestly, I have not seen any of the rod upgrade materials yet, and the bungalow material list makes my head spin. I tell myself I will live in the car for now and slowly collect everything. Then I look at the supply pile on the ground and realize I need to upgrade the island level soon, otherwise there will be nowhere to put anything. Counting my remaining 7 daily trades, I list trades immediately. I offer 3 bags of edible salt at 500 grams each, asking, for each bag, for 1 of fiberglass P-braided line or carbon cloth. I had searched for the materials and nobody had listed any, so I post and pin the message. People in the area immediately start chatting, with the bored ones speculating on what I am collecting. One asks the channel whether anyone knows what the top-ranked big shot needs these for. Another guesses, judging from the materials, that they are for a fishing rod. A third asks why a fishing rod, since everyone has a rod. The first one snaps that the person upstairs is dense. The top rank gets 20 extraordinary bait a day, and 1 rod is not enough. Another shrugs that some are dying of thirst while others are drowning in floods. I am unsurprised someone guessed correctly. With this many survivors, deduction is bound to happen. And I had not bothered to hide it since anyone who fishes up the rod blueprint will know the materials list anyway. After cataloging my haul and putting it away, I cast again. Meanwhile, Wang Duong, having mixed his crystal with flour to make 30 bait, is excitedly fishing on his own island. He had seen my pinned trade and is curious how exactly to make a fishing rod, and he refuses to believe the rod can be assembled like an ordinary item. This rod is for treasure chests. There has to be a trick. He decides he will not private message me directly yet. He will fish more first, see if he can pull anything good, and then exchange it for information. On the regional prosperity ranking, the few people behind me are processing mixed feelings. Joe Yil, in second place, glances at my name with an inexplicable flicker in his eyes. His own panel reads, Level 1 Island Lord, 24 years old, Strength 9/10 plus 1, Constitution 8/10 plus 1, Spirit 1 and 3/10 plus 1, Island Prosperity 10 points, with a D-grade talent called Divination that is upgradable to SSS grade Deduction. The Divination talent lets him divine his own luck 5 times daily. By using divination before every fishing attempt, he had been able to time his casts and lock down second place. Without my chi tier presence, the top spot in this region would be his. He glances at his last divination of the day and uses it without hesitation. The result reads benefit, so he casts it once. Meanwhile, the big shot the channel keeps thinking about is sitting back on a fished-up massage chair like he is on vacation. Insight reads my next chest as a 2-star common wood chest containing 1 20-milliliter tube of ordinary strength attribute potion, with a note that consuming 20 milliliters increases strength by 2/10, with no side effects and that the potion does not work for users whose base strength is greater than 5. My spirits jump. If it had unhooked, I would have been heartbroken. After a tug of war, I bring it ashore. Double happiness gives me 2 test tubes. From a single example like this, the abnormality of my talent is clear. and the talent still has room to upgrade. If the items were daily trash, the bonus would be moot, but with rare items later, my one yield will be worth many times what others get. I pull both stoppers and chug them. The potion hits my stomach and sends a tingling current through my whole body. Do not ask how I know what being electrocuted feels like, because as a kid I touched the signal cable port of a TV and shocked myself, and the feeling was exhilarating. The effect lasts about 20 minutes, then I open my panel. Strength has gone up to 1 4/10 plus 1. With 2 Toyotas now also listed under my slaves and adding 10 prosperity, my island prosperity value at 20 points and still rank 1. I tell myself it would be great to get more of these and start fantasizing. Then my luck flips. I do not know whether my European emperor's luck just turned into African chief's bad luck, or what, but the insight talent is still telling me this water is rich, so the catches should not be junk, yet over half an hour I haul 10 more chests, and they are nearly all garbage. 4 1-star, 3 1.5 star, 2 2-star, and 1 half-star, which is a clear downgrade from my last batch. The half-stars give 2 5-portion piles of ordinary wood, 2 bottles of shampoo, 2 boxes of shampoo, 2 boxes of Haitian soy sauce. The 1-stars give 4 5-kilogram fresh watermelons, 2 basic medical kits, and 4 apple saplings. The 1.5s give 2 40-portion piles of ordinary wood and 2 portions of fertile soil. Only the 2 2-stars deliver 2 island area plus 1 square meter fragments, generated when other islands break, used to expand the current island's area by a square meter. I activate one immediately and watch my island grow from 100 square meters to 102. Comparable to attribute potions, I tell myself, and sit back to keep fishing. The system pings to tell me to claim my regional first place reward of 20 portions of ordinary bait. I am not excited. I have too much of the stuff already. I claim and keep going. Note that my regional is then suddenly interrupted. The system asks whether I will accept a private chat from a survivor named Gae Chong Yu, who meets the energy crystal filter. The name sounds familiar. 4th place on the regional prosperity board. The girl. I accept. She greets me as Mr. Soyo and asks whether she can trade other items for the use of an ordinary energy crystal. Another sharp survivor catching on, I think. Apart from me, only Wang Dung knows the use, and he paid a crystal for it, which means he will not be a big mouth about it. I tell her I only need fiberglass, pea-braided line, and carbon cloth, one of each, and that if she has them we can trade, and if not, forget it. Jae Chung-yu lets out a small breath of relief, because she has all 3, and although her instinct tells her these materials might also be valuable, you cannot have both the fish and the bear's paw, and she trusts her A-rank 6 senses enhancement to tell her the energy crystal matters more. She tells me she has all 3 and offers to purchase whatever I list. I perk up. This girl is lucky enough to gather all 3 upgrade materials and an energy crystal, while I have been at this for hours, and have not seen any rod materials. I tell her I will list the materials and that after she purchases I will send her the use of the crystal. She agrees instantly and the trade goes through. I ping her the same use I sent Wang Dung. She thanks me. I do not reply. I am low on daily messages and I might need them later. I take the 3 materials, place them next to the novice rod with the ordinary fishing rod blueprint, and use the blueprint. White light flashes, the materials and blueprint vanish, and an ordinary fishing rod appears in their place. A totally dark rod with 200 durability that can fish for half-star to 5-star ordinary wooden chests. With a note that durability I can use novice fishing rod upgrade materials to repair it. The footnote tells me that paired with enhanced bait at 5 meters depth, the rod can fish anywhere from a 2.5-star up to a 5-star chest. Eager. I still have 4 enhanced bait, but I tell myself I had a hard time landing 2-star chests, so a 5-star will be much harder. I will finish my ordinary bait first and try for more attribute potions. Before I start the next round of fishing, I do not forget to drop a fresh trade message on the channel. I list 1 carton of Manhwa cigarettes, 5 kilograms of rice, and a 500 milliliter bottle of shampoo, asking for 1 each of fiberglass, pea-braided line, and carbon cloth. The listing is mostly a fishing expedition. If it trades through, great. If not, the message at least flags my demand, and players holding the materials may private message me. I had not really expected 3 bags of edible salt to bring me 3 materials earlier. That was just buzz to draw attention to private trades, and the items I am offering now are essentially freebies for me, the same as the lighters had been. Common supplies stack up either way, so I lose nothing. Pinning the trade lights up the chat again. Someone laments not having fished any of these materials. Otherwise they could trade for cigarettes. Another tells him not to mention it. The talk made him crave a cigarette. Another marvels at the gap between us, asking why I am so flush with supplies. Another adds himself to the chorus, saying he used all 10 fishing chances and pulled 5 damaged chests. Can anyone believe it? I do not pay much attention to the speculation. I pick up the wooden house construction blueprint and walk toward the woodpile. The 2 goblins immediately bow when they see me approaching, and I wave them aside. The system asks me to choose where to place the house. I scan the island and lock the spot to the central area. The system confirms the location and tells me to wait. The phantom of a wooden house appears, and the timber stacks itself like building blocks. White light flashes and a small European-style wooden cabin stands in front of me. The system pings to confirm I now own an ordinary wooden house. My prosperity is up. My current prosperity is 30, still ranked first. The ordinary wooden house description tells me it is a simple dwelling that shelters from wind and rain or stores supplies. I push the door open and step in. The interior is small, similar to some of the studio rentals I lived in before transmigrating. After a glance around, I walk straight back out, since there is nothing to see in an empty cabin. I tell the two goblins to move all the supplies inside, and arrange them neatly. They scurry off to comply. After their lunchtime instant noodles, the two slaves are enchanted by the taste, and even mid-carpentry their mouths kept watering at the memory, so they are eager to work fast in hopes I will reward them with another bowl. I am unaware of any of that, since I have already settled onto the massage chair and started fishing. 3 1-star chests in a row, then another 2-star chest finally bites. Insight reads it as a 2-star common wood chest containing 1 20-milliliter tube of ordinary physique attribute potion, with the fishing skill noting that, thanks to the upgraded rod, brute strength works fine and I can simply pull. The potion's description tells me 20 milliliters increases constitution by 2/10, with no side effects, and that the potion will not work for users with base constitution greater than 5. My listless mood snaps back. I pull the chest in by force, open it, and look at the 2 tubes of blue liquid in my hand. I uncork and chug. The sensation differs from the strength potion. Strength gave me a tingling current, and the physique potion gives me ice and fire at once, an exhilarating shudder that pulls a cry out of me. The 2 goblins look over confused, drawn by their master's commotion. I shudder again as the medicine continues to work. By the time the potency exhausts, I am drenched in sweat. I peel off my jacket and the long-sleeved shirt under it, drape them over the massage chair, and chug a big mouthful from the mineral water bottle. If any of the survivors who have not pulled fresh water yet saw me drinking like this, they would probably wilt with envy. I burp, set the bottle down, bait the hook with ordinary bait, and cast again. The decline that came after the strength potion hits again. My next 10 casts pull only ordinary daily necessities. I tell myself this might be a once every 10 tries event. If anyone could read my expression in a crowded place right now, they would beat me to death for being smug. I glance at the sky and decide to try the enhanced bait. Since I have 4 chances anyway, I tell myself to do it, and I attach the enhanced bait to the hook, adjust the float, take a deep breath, and cast. A successful trade ping interrupts my concentration. My Manhwa cigarettes carton has been traded. I curse silently, mutter to retrieve, and ignore the materials lying on the ground. Then the float moves. I hold my breath and concentrate. The float plunges and I exert force. My ordinary rod bends astonishingly, looking ready to snap, and the veins on my arm swell as I throw most of my strength behind it. I anchor my lower body like a stubborn nail, get the feel of the underwater pull, and start to back up cautiously. Every retreat I make is met with an immediate forward step from the line. 20 minutes of extreme tug-of-war later, the chest finally surfaces. Insight reads it as a 5-star ordinary wooden chest containing 10 ordinary energy crystals, with the fishing skill telling me to apply intermittent force for an hour and then drag. A thought rises immediately, that I have already achieved ordinary energy crystal freedom in the early stages. With too many to use, 1 crystal mixed with flour gives 30 bait, and double happiness will give me 20 crystals from this 5-star chest, which crafts to 600 bait. I could fish until my hands cramped and not finish them. I dismiss the thought before it can be spoken aloud and beaten out of me, and I focus on the underwater tug. As the sky darkens, I finally pull the chest up. I drop the rod, lie on the ground, and pant. This single chest exhausted me more than every previous chest combined, but the haul will keep me in bait for days. With double happiness on top of an SSS-grade insight, I am no different from getting rich overnight, with monstrous snowball ability. The system pings a special note, telling all survivors that night is approaching and the temperature will keep falling, so we should take precautions against the cold. I prop up on my arms and sit. So nights are colder, and during the 7-day novice period, ordinary survivors face not just food and water, but warmth too. A cool breeze sweeps across me and I shiver. Without a second thought, I stand up, walk to the chair, pull on my shirt and jacket, pick up the chest, and hurry to the cabin. I tell the 2 goblins to light the fire, glance at the rapidly darkening sky, and carry the chest indoors. I open the chest. Looking at the 20 ordinary energy crystals piled together feels different from looking at the digital number, like cash spread out in front of me. The impact a different kind. I tap into the chat to see whether others are running into the same situation. The wall is full of people complaining about the cold. Someone protests that there is supposed to be a 7-day protection period for newcomers. Another tells him to make a fire if he is so cold. Another reports a wind that nearly took his fished-up tent. Another offers to buy coats and bedding and asks anyone with extras to list them. Someone with sense tells the channel that anyone who can should light a fire. Only fire will get them through the night. Otherwise, getting a cold or fever from the chill will be terrible. The smarter ones are already filtering trade items, since once everyone reacts, the listings will either get pulled or get marked up. I glance at my remaining trade slots and decide to put up a few free lighters as welfare. Since I am not short on lighters, and I had just had a long day of fishing and want to eat and sleep. The unused trades would be wasted otherwise, and giving lighters away builds an image that helps later trades. As soon as the listing goes up, the first survivor to grab one shouts in the channel that the top boss is giving out welfare and that he snagged a free windproof lighter. The wall fills with complaints from those who missed it, asking why no one left them. One is saying they are practically freezing to death, and joking that the grabbers must have 20 years of single-hand speed. I list a few more lighters and stop watching. There is no useful information in chat anyway. On the regional prosperity board, the people behind me look at my prosperity number and at theirs, and run out of words, asking each other whether they are even playing the same game. Wang Dung quietly enters the top 10 because his 30 bait portions, made from his crystal, gave him a meaningful haul, pushing his prosperity past most other survivors. The 10th place survivor he displaced is furious, since the gap between top 10 and outside is massive. The top 10 gets an extra treasure chest reward each day. The displaced survivor can only roar at his own island in private. I pan-fry steak over the fire, one of my catches from the afternoon. The smell of meat fills the air and I swallow involuntarily, since I have been fighting since lunch on a single bowl of noodles. The first steak hits medium rare and I eat. The two goblins do not starve either. I throw them some Master Kong noodles, which sends them into ecstasy. After 3 steaks and half a watermelon, I let out a heavy burp. I tell the two goblins to guard the fire tonight, to feed it wood when it gets low, and to watch the sea for any movement. They reply that their servants obey. I pull the Toyota door open, get in, start the engine, turn on the air conditioning, recline the seat, and lie back. Driving on a small island is a no-go, but air conditioning is no problem as long as the gas does not run out, and heat is a guarantee. The reason I have the goblins on watch is that the temperature drop hints at other unexpected things, and the two slaves have plenty of energy and can skip a night without sleep, so they might as well stand guard. The two huddle by the bonfire, eyes scanning the surroundings, carrying out my orders to the letter. When I open my eyes again, daylight is back. I get up, stretch, kill the air conditioning, and step out. I face the new sun, take a deep breath, and exhale slowly. The two goblins guarding the still-burning fire jog over and call me master, telling me I am awake. I ask whether anything unusual happened during the night. They report there had been only the sound of seawater hitting the island's edges. No other movements. I tell them well done and send them into the cabin to fetch me something to eat, then pick up the rod and walk to the edge. I have too much ordinary bait now, so I need to burn through it. I fish with one hand and chew bread with the other, comfortably starting the day's fishing. The system pings to tell me to claim my regional first place reward of 20 portions of ordinary bait. I claim with no excitement. If it had been enhanced bait, I would have been excited, but ordinary I have a glut of. The top rank may eventually have those rewards, but not on the first or second day. I keep one eye on the float and dip into the chat. I do not love speaking there, but lurking is fine. One survivor types in stuttered fragments that he was freezing to death the whole night. Another asks why he is stuttering, since although it was cold last night, anyone who roasted by a fire or had cold weather supplies should have been fine. A third snaps that the upstairs critic is talking without knowing the pain. What about people with no supplies who survived by sheer righteous spirit? Someone declares the third strongest of all. Another adds that yesterday he ate 1 small wheat bread and drank half a bottle of water, and last night was cold and hungry to the point that he half saw the little match girl in his sleep. A wisecracker asks whether he is sure it was not the little nuclear bomb girl. Another asks the channel why everyone is hungry. Fishing supplies should be plentiful, and yesterday he opened a treasure chest with cooked roast lamb leg, a roasted chicken, and several bottles of Sprite. A response calls him an old codger, and asks how his 37-degree hands type such cold words. Another tells him to eat a peach and be cool. Someone else just types disgusted retching noises. My eye twitches, and I tell myself the world is full of all kinds of people. I close the chat. A tug on the rod. Insight reads a 2-star common wood chest containing 1 simple fishing net, which can catch low-level chests. The net's description tells me to hang ordinary bait on the net and cast it into water, then wait for chests to enter the net, with the optimal amount of bait being 10 portions per cast. The note says the net can catch up to 2-star chests and warns me to be careful pulling it in or risk being pulled into the water. The net has 10 durability with 1 durability lost per chest caught. I exclaim a string of internal cheers and call it a pillow when I am sleepy, since the system understands me too well. I pull the chest in, open it, and look at 2 simple fishing nets in my hands. I call the 2 goblins, tell them to drive 2 wooden stakes into appropriate spots, then attach 10 portions of ordinary bait to 1 net and cast it toward a treasure-rich zone inside as flagged. As the net sinks, I tie the rope's end to a stake. I repeat the process with the second net. 20 bait gone, mood considerably brighter. I do not expect 10 2-star chests per net, that would be unrealistic, but 2 or 3 would make me happy. A private chat ping interrupts. Wang Dung again. I accept, since the man has fished up something good before, and a message comes in. He calls me boss, and asks if I want a small ordinary speedboat, since he has fished 1, but cannot use it himself, and dares not. He wants someone to take it off his hands. I ask what he has, and he tells me a small ordinary speedboat and to give him whatever I think is fair. I would not dare drive a speedboat on the sea either, but it might be useful later, and stored on the water it takes no space. I decide to clear inventory anyway. I message him back. I will take the speedboat and give him an ordinary wooden house blueprint that, with 100 portions of ordinary wood, builds a 15 square meter wooden house automatically. He has never fished a blueprint before and is stunned, then quickly agrees. He has been living in a tent he opened from a chest, so a wooden house would be a real upgrade. I list the trade publicly and tell him to buy. He buys instantly. The speedboat in front of him vanishes into white light, and he hears the trade success. He retrieves a blueprint of a simple wooden house and immediately starts searching for wood listings on the trade channel, since a blueprint alone is not enough. Meanwhile, I walk to a spot near the sea and silently confirm retrieve. A small ordinary speedboat appears on the water. The ordinary speedboat description reads as a 6-meter boat. Capacity 6 people, fuel tank 150 liters, currently empty. Engine outboard motor 70 to 115 horsepower, maximum 35 knots at full power. The note tells me I can try driving around the island after fueling, and not to go too far or get lost. The empty tank is no surprise. Wang Dung is not stupid. With fuel inside, he would not have traded so easily. I have the 2 goblins drive 2 more stakes and tie one end of the speedboat with rope, and I go back to fishing. Although I have gasoline, I cannot drive a speedboat, but the goblins can be tasked with hands-on testing later, since their race is decent with mechanical creations, and even if they break it, I will not feel bad, since the boat is essentially free. The next round of fishing pushes my concentration up, since enhanced bait is on the line. I stare at the float for half an hour with no movement. Just as I blink to clear my dry eyes, the float drops. I grip tight. The pull is clearly not 5-star territory, so I do not bother with technique. Insight reads a 3-star common wood chest containing 1 seawater purification pure freshwater device that can purify 100 liters daily with 100 durability and 1 loss per purification. Decent. I yank the chest ashore. With double happiness, 2 not too small technologically themed devices appear in front of me. I tell the 2 goblins to fetch seawater in containers. They scurry off and come back with buckets. I take a bucket, pour it into the inlet, hit the start button and put the empty bucket at the outlet. I am a little curious the device has no electricity input. Water begins to flow from the outlet into the bucket. I tell the goblins to watch the bucket and, once full, water the saplings and seeds. With 200 liters a day, I walk to the simple fishing nets, since half an hour has passed and it is time to check. The insight reads the first net before I even pull. 6 1-stars, 2 1.5 stars, and 2 2-stars in this net. The 10 chests contain 120 elemental attribute potion, 1 portion of fertile soil, 1 bag of toilet paper, and others. I marvel that the net is more impressive than the rod, since it reads the cache before I lift it from the water. I shrug off the why and accept that if my talent works, that is enough. I grip the rope, brace, and exclaim under my breath at how heavy it is. 10 chests in 1 pull is no small thing. Fortunately, the net's chests struggle less than the rod's chests of the same star. Otherwise, I would have called the goblins to help. Like an old ox pulling a cart, I haul the net up. I open the chest containing the mental potion first. 2 tubes of light purple liquid in my hands. The description tells me 20 milliliters increases spirit by 2/10 with no side effects. No effect at base spirit 5 or higher. I uncork and chug. A cool sensation spreads through my mind and my thoughts feel sharper. The feeling lasts about 10 minutes before I come down. If I were to rate the 3 potions, the mental potion takes the top spot. The cool, ethereal, blissful feeling is simply too good. I'm even a little lightheaded walking to the second net. I grip the rope of the second net and insight surprises me. 5 1-stars, 2 1.5s, 2 2-stars, and 1 2-star common pet chest. The 10 chests contain 1 adult snow wolf, 30 liters of gasoline, a 6-pack of Sprite, and others. There is even a pet chest, I think. The variety of chests keeps growing. Insight reads the adult snow wolf for me. 2 meters long, 70 kilograms, a Canidae subspecies of gray wolf, a domesticated pet from a pet chest suitable for guarding the home, and possessing combat power exceeding that of an ordinary unarmed human. I stroke my chin, not in a hurry to drag the chest. If I open the wolf and put it on the island, all I gain is another freeloader, since compared to my goblins, the wolf has no work value. After a moment, I decide to throw the chest into the cabin and open it later when it might matter. I had already tested that an unopened chest does not vanish, which is something only I would think to do, since most players cannot resist opening their caches. I drag the second net ashore as well and carry the 10 chests inside, sorting and stacking them by use. If any survivor saw the inside of my cabin right now, they would drool with envy. The cabin is full of open supplies plus a pile of unopened chests. In an older era, I would qualify as a proper wealthy landlord. The system pings to tell me my time on the leaderboard has reached a full day and asks whether I want to claim the rank 1 leaderboard chest. I claim. The chest description reads as containing 1 island area plus 5 square meters fragment, which expands the current island by 5 square meters. I had underestimated this reward. A single one of these fragments equals 5 of the +1 fragments I have been getting from 2-star chests, and +1 fragments are not easy to fish. I had only pulled a single one in many tries. I activate both fragments. The island grows visibly larger, more noticeable than the earlier +2 had been. My panel updates. Level 1 island owner, with 112 square meters, strength 1 and 4/10 plus 1 and 12 hundredths, constitution 1 and 4/10 plus 1 and 12 hundredths, spirit 1 and 9/10 plus 1 and 12 hundredths, slave still 2 low-level goblins for 10 prosperity. Island prosperity at 55 split across the wooden house at 10, goblins 10, saplings 5 and others. I notice the island bonus rises with the area, and I let myself fantasize about scaling the island to a continent and gaining the strength to move mountains. Even at 200 square meters, the bonus would jump by another 2 attribute points, and at hundreds of thousands or millions of square meters, the bonus would be monstrous. However, island locked it remains. I shake the daydream off and tap into the chat for any deals worth catching. The wall is laughing at someone who told the channel he is so hungry he wishes to dive and grab chests directly underwater. Another responds that it is a great idea, and another fires back that whoever goes down may not come back up. A third starts to warn the channel not to get into the water, that there is something below, and abruptly stops mid-sentence. The next message asks the speaker whether he is alive, and tells him to make a sound and explain what is underwater before he dies. My brows knit. What is in the sea besides chests? My curiosity flares, since if there were anything else underwater, in theory my insight should have detected it. After many casts, I have perceived nothing, which is itself a problem. Maybe the rule limits what my current strength can read, so I cannot perceive the danger yet. The atmosphere in the chat thickens as people speculate about whether monsters might attack at night. Another voice tells everyone the situation probably will not happen within 7 days, although after 7 days nothing is certain. Another tells him to stop being a jinx. Another stands up and tells everyone fear is useless, and the only thing to do is try to live. A second voice immediately pours cold water on the morale boost, telling the channel the barren island has no tree bark to gnaw, and that the food fished up will not last. Another sighs that the top 10 are obviously fine on food and water, since they get so much bait every day. Another tells the channel that as fellow humans, those at the top should help those without resources. Another snickers and asks whether the top ranked is anyone's father, and why anyone would expect a man to spend his hard-fished resources helping. My brow twitches at the messages. I am not surprised that some players are starting to direct narrative at the top of the rankings. 5,000 people in a region is a mixed bag, with former officials and nobles, ordinary commoners, street thugs, even ex-cons, even the heinous mixed in with naive students who still hold their innocent and romantic streak. Such a mix guarantees these problems. I figure naive types have already been scammed out of supplies and are probably helping the scammers count their money. Sure enough, as the thought passes, someone in chat warns the channel that a woman named Wang Chen scammed him out of a bag of food. Someone asks for the full scam story and asks whether it happened mid-flirting. Another tells him being scammed at this point makes him remarkable. I cut in and post my own message, telling the channel I am acquiring island area fragments, and that owners can private message me with food, fresh water, or other items as exchange. I pin it. The pin draws a wave of speculation about what I want now, and a sneer at anyone too dense to read the words. Someone realizes the new welfare and tells the channel that with his guaranteed bait today, he just fished a 2-star chest that gave him a +1 fragment, and that he needs to go trade with the top-ranked boss. Another expresses envy. Island area fragments are also the rewards in the 2nd through 10th place ranked chests, the only difference being the size of the area added. I, in first, opened the +5 fragment, 2nd place opened +3, 3rd place +2, and 4th through 10th all received +1s. The top 10 will obviously not exchange these for daily necessities, since their basic supplies are not the worst, even if their stock is not as varied as mine. The system pings a private chat request from Ochiol who meets the conditions. I accept. He greets me as the top boss and asks how much food and water a +1 fragment trades for. On his island, Ochiol looks pale, his lips cracked, his body already starting to dehydrate. He had pulled no fresh water from his 10 gifted bait, and 8 of his 10 chests were damaged. The other 2 were ordinary 1-star chests that gave him 10 pieces of wood total. From his novice chest he had opened a whole wheat bread and a 500 milliliter mineral water, otherwise he would have already given up. The man who said he survived last night purely on righteous spirit was Ochiol. I think for a moment, balancing how much to give. Too little and he hesitates. Too much and I will have a hard time acquiring more from luckier survivors who are also short on basics. I message Ochiol that 1 +1 fragment can be exchanged for 15 liters of fresh water, 10 kilograms of rice, and a windproof lighter. Ochiol hesitates, unsure whether the offer is low. Then he reasons that without the trade he might not make it through tonight, and a lower offer from someone else would be even worse, since at this stage only the top 10 can hand out large amounts of supplies. He tells himself to take the trade. He still wanted to shop around, but he only has 10 messages a day and he had used several gossiping in chat already. Plus, he still has to reply to me. He asks me whether I can throw in cold weather gear since he is the first to trade fragments with me, since otherwise he will freeze tonight. I tell him fine, I will give him an extra blanket since he is the first fragment trader, and that I am posting the trade on the channel for him to bid himself. I have plenty of cold weather gear, all still inside unopened wooden chests. I open one chest with a blanket and post the trade. 15 liters of drinkable fresh water, 10 kilograms of rice, 1 windproof lighter, and 1 blanket in exchange for 1+1 island area fragment. Oh, Cheol jumps on the listing instantly. The trade succeeds. I retrieve the fragment and use it on the spot. The island grows from 112 to 113 square meters. I get busy. I plan a layout for future builds, then walk to the edge to fish. Insight tells me the resources beneath this stretch are scarce and to change spots. After several relocations, Insight tells me a 5-star chest sits 5 meters under a particular spot. I marvel Insight has gotten more granular. Maybe my strength has improved enough or my use count is high enough that the talent is enhancing. Before, the readings only told me whether a stretch was rich or poor in chests. Now they specify star ratings. I will know if I try. I attach an enhanced bait cast precisely into the area Insight flagged and wait. After about 10 minutes, the rod tightens. Insight reads a 5-star ordinary wooden chest containing the material 100 forged profound iron, with the fishing skill calling for back and forth pulling for an hour before dragging onto the island. The profound iron's description tells me it is one of the upgrade materials for upgrading an ordinary fishing rod to a black iron grade rod, paired with ice silkworm silk, a black iron crate upgrade blueprint. Even better, the talent now reads the chest as soon as it bites, before it surfaces. I do not have to wait. I follow the suggested technique and bring the chest up. Open. Double happiness gives me 2 pieces of 100 forged profound iron, dark black with a smooth jade-like sheen, and surprisingly heavy. The materials feel like the magic tool components from the cultivation novels I read before transmigrating. Maybe I can fish up actual cultivation manuals someday. As chest star ratings rise, the variety only widens. I guess that above the 5-star wood chest there is a black iron tier, and above that bronze, silver, and gold tiers, though I do not know for sure. I carry both profound iron pieces into the cabin, which by now is fully functioning as my storage room. After putting them away, I jog back to the edge. Insight reads more granularly. One stretch has clusters of 1-star chests, another stretch has clusters of 1 and 2 stars, and finally one stretch is dense with 2 stars and recommends I cast a net. I call the goblins to bring me the net. They jog over with it. I attach 10 ordinary bait and cast. I tell the goblins to drive stakes. They have done it before and are quick. I grip the rope. Insight tells me 2-star chests are continuously entering the net and warns me not to be pulled into the water. Multiple people should drag. I wrap the rope around a stake and tell the 2 goblins to take the rope and listen for my command. And that on my count of pull, they should use everything they have. The 2 slaves rush forward and grip the taut rope. Insight then tells me the net has accepted the 10th 2-star chest and to drag fast or risk a chest tearing free. I shout pull. The rope yanks taut, and the 3 of us strain together. It is like a tug of war, except the rope's other end is anchored to a stake, which puts me in an undefeated position. The pull from below gradually weakens. I yank hard and start dragging the net up the island, the goblin's arms bulging. Slowly the net surfaces. With one heavy heave, the 3 of us drag it onto the island. I let out a long breath and tell myself this net pulling is hard work. The reward, though, is worth it. After my breath calms, I read the catch. The net holds 9 2-star common wood chests and 1 2-star common monster chest. The contents: a 20 milliliter strength potion, a 20 milliliter constitution potion, a 20 milliliter spirit potion, a +1 island area fragment, an ordinary energy crystal, a special cold-proof suit, a thorn fence blueprint, a carnivorous plant seed, a plant growth accelerator potion, and a low-level goblin. Another full novice 3-piece potion set, the fragment I have been hunting, a crystal, and another monster chest bringing more labor. I focus on items I have not seen before. The special cold-proof suit has waterproof and severe cold-proof effects and can withstand temperatures as low as -30 degrees Celsius. The thorn fence blueprint, with the right materials, builds a thorn fence enclosing a 10 by 10 meter area at 2 meters height, requiring 100 portions of thorns. The carnivorous plant seed grows a carnivorous plant that, once cultivated, can guard the home with a mature plant capable of killing ordinary humans easily. The growth cycle runs 1 month for germination, 2 to 4 months for seedling, 5 to 9 months for growth, 10 to 12 months for flowering, and unless destroyed, it will live extremely long. The plant growth accelerator potion is a nutrient solution that shortens a plant's 1-year cycle to 3 days, with ingredients of ordinary energy crystal powder and water. There is even something like that, I think. Ordinary energy crystals are practically a panacea in the early stages. I shake my head and walk forward to retrieve the 3 potion chests. I drink strength, constitution, and spirit in sequence. The triple stack hits me harder than any single potion, and insight says no danger, otherwise I would not have dared. While I am being ravaged by the cocktail, the regional channel is buzzing. A survivor reports he opened a living person from a chest. A second asks whether male or female. A third demands proof or it did not happen. The first says the man is male, recognized him as master at first sight, and shows up on the personal panel as a servant at 60 loyalty. A fourth tells the first to be careful, since under 60 loyalty the trope is defection. Another asks whether anyone can later open a bunny girl or a cat girl. Another tells him to first worry about surviving the novice period. The man who opened the human is none other than Wang Dong, the foolish young traitor who has dealt with me twice. The new servant is a stout, honest-looking middle-aged man, and Wang Dong mutters under his breath that he wishes he had fished a girl. The system pings him that his servant Gap senses Wang Dong's disregard, with loyalty -1, and warns that below 60 loyalty the servant resists, and below 0 he turns hostile. Wang Dong curses, asking himself whether he has fished up a servant or a grand master. Gap's stomach rumbles beside him, and Wang Dong instantly knows how to raise loyalty. He tells Gap he will take him to eat something good. Wang Dong quickly prepares Gap a bucket of instant noodles and hands the master calm noodles over, calling Gap by name. Gap accepts, calls him Lord, picks up chopsticks and starts eating. Wang Dong mutters internally that the man is acting like an ancient. Gap takes a bite and his eyes light up. The system pings him that subordinate Gap has felt his attention, with loyalty +10. Wang Dong breathes out, finally stable. Gap devours the noodles and the soup and gives Wang Dong a longing look. Wang Dong curses that Gap is a glutton, but he cannot resist the loyalty boost, so he obediently prepares more noodles. If Wang Dong saw the loyalty of my goblins on Soyu Island compared to Gap's, he would be green with envy at the Gap. After the 3-potion ravage on me wears off, I shiver involuntarily. I roar awesome at the sky to release the leftover charge. I stretch and decide to open the monster chest. More labor will not hurt. I cannot build the island alone. I fire the pistol and the released low-level goblin drops on the spot before it can register where it is. The 2 working goblins kneel in fright. I take the slave option and double happiness gives me 2 new low-level goblins. I call the working pair forward and tell them each to take one of the new goblins and tell them what they need to do every day. They reply that their slaves understand and perk up, since although they are all my slaves, with more goblins, leaders among them naturally form. Goblins are intelligent enough to have their own little thoughts. If they were not in absolute loyalty, I would not entrust the chores so casually. I open the island area chest from the net and use it on the spot, gaining 2 more square meters. For the carnivorous plant seeds, I dig a pit on a chosen spot, drop them in, refill the soil, and pour the plant growth accelerator on top. A tiny sprout breaks through the ground in front of me. I marvel at how magical the compound is. If this had existed in my old world, anyone who could research it would be drowned in awards. I plant the second seed in another spot. Other survivors are still working themselves to the bone for daily necessities, and I have already moved past worry into planning. I scout the edge of the island for new fishing zones. Insight reads that one stretch is full of damaged chests and half-stars, another is full of 1-stars, and after several relocations, I find a stretch dense with 2 stars and recommended for net casting. I have the goblins drive stakes immediately so we do not run out of time. I cast the net, wrap the rope around the stakes, clap my hands, and walk to the massage chair. With 4 goblins on hand, I do not need to be involved in the pulling. I just have to watch the net. While I monitor Insight, I tap into the chat. I scroll up and find Wang Dong's earlier message about opening a human. I wonder whether you really can get humans from chests. The loyalty issue, though, is the question. If servants from human chests start at low loyalty and require slow rapport, I would rather have absolutely loyal monster subordinates. In the chat, someone sighs that he is sick of eating big fish and big meat every day and asks whether he could possibly catch less so he could feel hunger. The wall instantly turns hostile, calling for someone to kill the show-off, predicting his short shelf life in TV shows, hoping the deities multiply his wish and starve him to death. The show-off doubles down. He calls everyone losers who cannot reach the grapes and scolds them as sour. He brags he is arrogant and asks what they will do about it. I scan the latest messages and find the man speechless. He is bored out of his mind. In the chat, the show-off keeps mocking everyone. He laughs at whoever was eating plain buns and drinking cold water, asks the channel whether they are envious, and tells them they cannot do anything about it. The wall fills with fury. Someone says his temper is flaring and demands to know how such a despicable dog exists. Another asks why there is no report function. Another asks for a big shot to punish the jerk. Another bets the man is fishing with his lifespan and will drop dead any second. Most survivors join the cursing, since the man is rubbing salt in their wounds. Fishing up plenty of supplies is one thing. Mocking everyone is another. As the top 10 on the regional prosperity ranking, including me, none of the upper-ranked players speaks up. I read the wall and decide the man is just bored. Stepping out to argue with him would be a waste of time better spent fishing. On another small island, an effeminate-looking man with no masculine aura sits in front of his light screen with a sly smile. He is the show-off. He mutters at his own screen, calling everyone losers, and picks up his rod to jog to the edge of his island. The man is genuinely fishing with his lifespan. His talent is a rank lifespan luck boost. He can consume his own lifespan to temporarily increase his luck, with a minimum of 3 days of lifespan per use, granting 3 minutes of temporary luck. The talent is why he has fished up so many daily necessities, and if he were not stingy with his lifespan, he would be in the top 10. Meanwhile, I direct the 4 goblins to pull in the net I had set. The catch is 2 1-star chests and 8 2-star chests. The contents include a +1 island area fragment, an ordinary energy crystal, 2 portions of enhanced bait, fiberglass, a simple toilet, 50 kilograms of rice, and 50 kilograms of thorns. Not bad. There are no attribute potions this time, but the simple toilet alone alleviates the embarrassment of squatting at the sea. Among these items, the enhanced bait catches my eye most. So far, I am only missing 1 ingredient to make the bait myself, and the missing material has not appeared on the trade channel. Perhaps no one has fished it. For me, only higher star chests can develop the island faster. Other survivors would be stunned at my development. The central area of Soyu Island now hosts a beautiful European-style cabin, 2 Toyotas next to it, fruit tree saplings planted across patches of fertile soil, 4 low-level goblin slaves, and supplies overflowing the cabin. If only the island were larger, I could already build the thorn fence. The materials are gathered. I activate the new fragment and the island grows by another 2 square meters to 117 square meters total, still less than an 11 by 11 layout. Not yet large enough for a 10 by 10 thorn fence, otherwise I would have no room to fish. A clap of thunder hits the sky. My scalp prickles. I look up. The previously clear sky has darkened. The system pings to tell all survivors that the weather is unpredictable, and a localized heavy rain is about to arrive, with a slightly higher chance of fishing high-star chests after the rain. I groan that the weather is unpredictable. I tell the 4 goblins to cover the saplings and everything with tarpaulins and walk quickly toward the cabin, hoping there will not be strong winds, since strong winds at sea are practically a death sentence. I step into the cabin and tap into the chat to see how many people are affected. Someone says he is going to die because he has only built a broken thatched hut. Another laments he has only logs and a tarp. Another consoles the channel that the prompt promised better post-rain fishing. Another agrees the rain is good for a shower and water collection. Another asks whether anyone considered strong winds. The first speaker realizes he had not. Many people are affected. The goblins report from the door that everything is done. I tell them to come in since they are laborers and a cold would cost me. They squeeze inside. The patter of rain on the cabin starts immediately. I hear no howling wind, which is a relief. Common sense says heavy rain at sea brings strong winds, but the 7-day protection period might be dispersing them. The chat is in pain and joy at once. Someone celebrates not having to trade food for fresh water. Another curses that his roasted meat is soaked. Another curses the show-off and tells him he deserves it. Another calls the rain beautiful. The show-off curses back at his bow-legged grandma. My eye twitches. I am not idiotic enough to fit in with the channel's clowns. I push the cabin window open. Raindrops splatter into bean-sized droplets when they hit the ground. Lucky my cabin is system-built. Otherwise such rain would leak. The cabin blocks the rain perfectly, and my supplies stay dry. The 4 goblins curl up in a corner. Insight reads a no-star damaged wooden chest containing dry branches. I look out the window again and see a damaged chest at the edge of the island. So heavy rain washes some chests up onto islands too. I keep an eye on the island while monitoring chat. Sure enough, in this day and age someone is willing to share. A survivor asks whether anyone has had chests wash up. Another asks back what he is talking about. Yet another says he just put on a tarp and a chest washed up. Another swears no one is going to stop him today, that either he or the chest is going into a coffin. Another tells him he is daydreaming and warns the wake-up urine should not have diabetes lest the daydreamer taste sweetness. Another calls him a panda ordering takeout, with bamboo shoots delivered to the door. Another wonders what the highest star rating washed up will be. I sit deep in thought looking at the sea. The rain is essentially welfare for survivors on the verge of dying. I shake the thought off and close the window. A quick-witted goblin scurries over and presents a plate of fruit. I take a peach and casually tell them to share the rest. They thank me as master and become happy, since for low-level goblins getting something to eat is delight. Compared to me, Wang Dung on his own island is hiding from the rain in his cabin too. If he saw my leisurely posture, he would sell his servant Gap in minutes. Wang Dung sees chests washed onto his island and tells Gap to go pick them up. The system pings him that Gap senses Wang Dung's disregard, with loyalty -5. Gap, hiding indoors, looks at the pouring rain and refuses to be willing. Wang Dung curses, asking whether he brought back an ancestor. He had treated Gap well to stabilize loyalty around 70, but it is dropping again. He fumes that this useless thing has not done anything yet and is just messing with loyalty back and forth. The man is playing him. A private chat ping. Wang Dung again. I am amused. What did he get this time? He calls me boss and asks whether I want something good. Free labor. I deduced instantly that the man wants to sell off the human servant, since he is choking on the loyalty mechanic. I message back that I do not want a 60 loyalty subordinate, that I have enough labor on the island, and that he should keep him. He laughs sheepishly and replies that if I do not want it, he will keep him for now and contact me next time he gets something good. He looks at Gap with a headache, wondering whether to find a way to get rid of the man. Gap's current loyalty allows ordinary tasks but not life-risking ones. Wang Dung curses again. Gap notices the commotion and asks his lord what is wrong. Wang Dung dismisses it, then turns to look at the rain. I read his reply and feel a little speechless. A 60 loyalty subordinate is that much of a pain, eager to be rid of pain. I infer that the initial 60 has heavy restrictions, and Wang Deng cannot stand it. I do not take it to heart. I open the cabin window again and let Insight scan the chests on the island. The new arrivals are a no-star damaged chest containing a broken iron pot, a half-star ordinary chest containing a roll of sandpaper. There are 8 more chests on the island, mostly half-star wooden chests with 5 of them, and 3 are no-star damaged chests. The highest star rating washed up is the half-star then. Some of the seawater controlled by an unknown force only washes the edges and does not affect the central area where I sit. Otherwise, I would be busy preventing myself from being washed off. I do not pay much attention since the highest is half-star, and even if all of them washed back, I would lose nothing meaningful. Other survivors are risking being swept into the sea every time they spot a chest, racing out into the rain to grab any chest damaged or not. That might be carried away. The local rain lasts about half an hour and then the sky clears. I rush out, ignore the low-star chests and look at the sea. Insight reads traces of a 4-star wooden chest beneath one stretch and tells me I can fish with enhanced bait or move spots. As predicted, post-rain odds for high-star chests are up. A 4-star is not enough for me, so I scan again. The next reading puts a 5-star wooden chest 5 meters down a different stretch, with fishing recommended. I attach an enhanced bait, cast, and wait. In the regional channel, survivors are sharing the rain's gifts. One celebrates going from a bicycle to a motorcycle, having braved the rain to grab 5 half-star chests that yielded rice and green vegetables. Another curses what a deflated doll he got from his rain-grabbed chest. Another laughs that he opened a pack of farongwang and can finally satisfy a craving. Another mourns that 3 of the 4 chests he picked up were damaged, full of junk. Another asks the channel whether anyone is as miserable as them, claiming he picked up over a dozen, with the lowest being half-stars and 3 2-stars among them, with rich supplies. The wall instantly curses him as the cheap show off again, asking why he is not dead yet, calling good people short-lived, and Scourge's 1,000-year residents, asking whether his talent is luck-related. The man is Peng So-gang, who was at this moment opening chests on his small island. When the rain started, he had decisively used his lifespan luck enhancement, consuming about 30 days of lifespan over the half-hour rain. He is despicable but good at seizing opportunities. Before, the boost was unstable for fishing because the chest was not guaranteed to bite right after the boost activated, with an uncertain interval between, and luck enhancement only raises the chance of high-star chests. That is normal. His talent is A rank, not heaven-defying, and the man dares not consume too much lifespan, since he has a hereditary disease, and doctors had said he would not live past 35. So his early-stage hauls only barely beat ordinary survivors. I am still nervously watching the sea. Here it comes. The float plunges. I grip tight. Insight reads a 5-star ordinary wooden chest containing 1+10 square island fragment, with the fishing skill telling me to pull at constant speed initially, and then quickly when resistance feels low. The fragment increases island area by 10 square meters. I am happy. With double happiness, the chest gives a full +20 area when opened. After half an hour of back and forth pulling, the chest is worn down. I drag it ashore. I open. 2 +10 fragments appear out of thin air. I activate them on the spot and the island grows noticeably. Total area now 137 square meters, about a third larger than the initial 100. With length and width near 11.7 by 11.7, building the thorn fence is still a hair narrow. I postpone the fence again. A private chat request from Gei Chong-yu interrupts. I accept since I can spare the time. She asks me to use a +1 fragment to exchange for the uses of fiberglass, pea-braided line, and carbon cloth. As 4th place ranker, she opened a +1 in her ranked chest, which she has not used directly. She also has another +1 fished from a 2-star chest, so she knows their value. I think about whether she has gathered all 3 rod upgrade materials again. After a moment, I reply that I will accept 2 fragments plus an ordinary energy crystal, and that I will tell her the uses and also give her an item that uses these materials. She frowns at the crystal cost since 1 crystal equals 30 bait, and her talent has only let her save 2 crystals so far. But her intuition tells her trading with me is good for her future development, so she agrees and asks me to list the item. I post the trade, a blueprint in exchange for 2 +1 fragments and 1 ordinary energy crystal. She buys instantly. After extracting, she holds the rod upgrade blueprint and immediately understands what fiberglass, pea-braided line, and carbon cloth are for. She thanks me and tells me she will contact me again if she needs anything. She places the blueprint and the 3 materials next to her novice rod and silently uses the blueprint. I do not reply. I activate the 2 +1 fragments. The ordinary fishing rod blueprint had been useless to me. Better to trade it out for resources. I had estimated the blueprint only mattered in the early stages anyway, since I had pulled it from a 2-star chest and the world had been running for a day and a half, so some lucky players might have already opened it. As for whether trading the blueprint will let someone push me from the top spot, I am not worried. Players with that level of strength rarely depend on the rod alone. It is talent that matters, and I understand this deeply. Insight reads the next stretch dense with 2-star chests and recommends a net cast. I attach bait and cast and direct the 2 goblins to watch the rope. I scan another stretch, and Insight reads it is full of half-star chests. Not worth a net, recommending I move. I scan again and Insight reads an 8-meter deep stretch hosting a 1-star black iron grade treasure chest. I curse. I cannot fish that thing. My hardware is not up to par. An ordinary rod will snap under a black iron chest, and I do not have the bait for black iron either. I can only stare and turn elsewhere. The next stretch reads as a 5-star ordinary wood chest 5 meters down, with fishing recommended. I lock onto the area and cast. Meanwhile, Gai Cheong Yu, having traded the rod blueprint from me, has finished her own rod upgrade. She also has a single enhanced bait, and she is wondering whether to use it. After careful thought, she follows her 6th sense intuition, locks onto the strongest stretch she can feel, attaches the bait, and casts. I wait patiently. Compared to ordinary survivors still struggling for 2-star chests, the float dips. Insight reads a 5-star wooden chest containing 1 bottle each of strength, constitution, and spirit attribute potions at 100 milliliters each, with the fishing skill calling for a maneuver and pull approach with slow pulls and quick releases. Each potion permanently increases its base attribute by 1 point, with no effect on base attribute above 5. A large bottle 3-piece set. I tell myself it is good stuff, with double happiness, that is 2 points to each of strength, constitution, and spirit. I begin reeling in carefully. Time slips by. By the time I drag the chest ashore, it is afternoon. My stomach growls. I had been so focused on fishing I missed lunch. I tell myself to eat first. I carry the chest to the cabin, sit, and order the goblins to bring out the roasted whole lamb I had pulled earlier. The 2 goblins start a fire and turn the lamb to heat it up. I cut off a leg and eat. The goblins beside me swallow saliva, but without my command they would not dare reach for the meat. I tell them they can share the rest as their lunch and dinner. They thank Master for the reward. The 4 goblins carry the lamb to a slightly farther spot to eat without irritating me. I gnaw the leg without heartache. I have plenty of food. I cannot finish the whole lamb, and saved meat will not taste good in the evening. Better the goblins eat it. They still have to do the chores and heavy labor, and although low-level goblins are ugly, they work very hard, otherwise I would not have kept them. After the leg and a bottle of beverage, I burp, stretch, and sit on the massage chair clutching the 5-star chest. I trigger double happiness, and 6 100 milliliter attribute potions land in my arms. I am not brave enough to chug 6 at once. These are several times stronger than the earlier potions. After thinking for a moment, I decide to take them 1 bottle at a time. I uncork and chug the first. An intense sensation sweeps my whole body and my body trembles involuntarily. After about half an hour, the medicine fully exhausts. I exhale heavily and chug the second. 3 hours pass. I finish all 6. Drenched in sweat, I feel an unprecedented exhilaration, like I could punch a tiger to death. I bring up my panel. Level 1 Island Lord with 139 square meters. Name Soyu. Age 23. Strength 3 and 8/10 plus 1 and 3900s. Constitution 3 and 8/10 plus 1 and 3900s. Spirit 4 and 3/10 plus 1 and 3900s. Spirit 4 and 3/10 plus 1 and 3900s. Slaves 4 low-level goblins for 20 prosperity. Island prosperity at 120 points, still rank 1. Broken across the wooden house at 10. Goblins 20, saplings 15, fertile soil 20, carnivorous plants 10, and others with talents SSS grade insight and unknown grade double happiness, still upgradable. With the island bonus, all 3 of strength, constitution, and spirit are now past the 5-point barrier. I cannot calculate exactly how strong I am right now, but I have another method, estimating against the goblins. I look at a low-level goblin. The panel reads slave, loyalty 100 unable to betray, strength 1.5, constitution 2, spirit 1.5, skill basic construction, with a description telling me the cheapest labor force survives on a small amount of food and has the common language implanted. The combat power comparison line tells me the 3-dimensional attributes between us differ significantly, and that without weapons, I can fight 30 of them at once. After glancing at the combat power comparison Insight has just handed me, I cannot help feeling a flicker of excitement. I have finally moved past the weakling tier, and the next time I run into a monster chest like a goblin, I can simply go straight at it. Who would not want to be as strong as possible? Then the system pings to warn all survivors that night is about to fall. The temperature will drop significantly, and we should take precautions against the cold. So fast already, I think, as the sky darkens at a visible rate. I extend a middle finger to the sky, scurry into the cabin, and put on my special cold weather gear. 6 potions in a row really did burn that much time. I step out of the cabin, set up the solar lamp, and decide to try night fishing. With my base spirit attribute past 4, I am energetic and not sleepy at all, and the bumps in strength and constitution mean today's fishing barely tired me. Before casting, I check the chat by habit. The wall is in its usual mix. Someone curses the cold. Someone calls out fellow fishermen as superior beings and rallies the channel for night fishing. Another snaps that he cannot fish without bait and would have starved without the rain pickups today. Another grumbles his underwear is still wet. A more level head reports that with the only 2 bait portions he had left after the rain, he caught a 1.5-star chest, so post-rain odds really are up. Another nearly got dragged into the water by a chest today and only saved himself by letting go, fishing rod and all, which the channel mocks him for relinquishing. Most people are still in fairly good spirits. The first few days are survivable as long as nobody is too foolish, since the islands are tiny and not deserted jungle wilderness, and the chat is more spiritual sustenance than a tactical hub. People also keep complaining about how fast my prosperity is climbing, calling me a god, lamenting that their first thatched hut earned only 1 prosperity point, and joking that I must be paying to cheat. Another tells the channel that even if I am cheating I would not admit it, and that anyone wondering whether I lack accessories should not bother. I rub my chin and let them speculate. As long as I do not say anything, who will know about my talent? While I am thinking, the channel devolves into reincarnator scams. Someone claims to be Qin Shi Huang, alive in his imperial mausoleum until the transmigration, and asks the channel to send him bait so he can repay them 100-fold from his treasures. Another claims to be Manhwa, starving, offering to mold a girlfriend for whoever sends food. Once the first scammer fires, a long string of follow-ups piles in. I am annoyed, since this is clearly a coordinated scam syndicate that transmigrated together and is back to its old tricks. Now that bait is short, the lead scammer is also frustrated since no one in the channel is biting and the 10-message-a-day cap is suffocating his silver tongue. He had been a pyramid scheme leader who tricked believers into thinking that tens of thousands would multiply into 10 million. Someone in the channel finally tells everyone not to fall for it, that the scam messages are all aimed at the last bait portions and should be ignored. I throw together something to eat, finish quickly, and walk to the edge of the island. The solar lamp and the headlights of both Toyotas light the entire island brightly, though the visibility into the water is much worse than during the day. An insight only reads the water close to the island, with no information beyond that. The first scan tells me there is a small monster under the sea here, please be careful. My brows furrow. After 2 days of fishing around my island, I have not detected a single living creature in the water, other than the goblins I opened from chests. Now there is one, and the timing matters. Then a sound of something breaking the water surface catches my attention, and the lights catch a fleeting glimpse of the creature surfacing. Insight reads it for me as a sea monkey, with strength 3.5, constitution 3.5, spirit 1 with great strength, weak nerve pain sensation, and difficult to kill with firearms unless vital spots are hit. The description says it is one of the monsters new survivors may encounter after the 7-day protection period, that within 7 days it will not attack the island thanks to the protection but may appear around it, and that diving into the water is suicide. The combat power comparison tells me it can be defeated on land but easily worn down to death underwater. I wonder whether the brave guy from a few days ago who went diving had run into one of these. I am not panicked. Most fear comes from the unknown, and once Insight has laid out the data, I can accept it. I scan the lit water and find no other sea monkey. Maybe this one dove too deep for Insight to read, even if the monkeys want to attack. That is after the protection period, so worrying now is pointless. I keep fishing instead. Insight reads a 5-star chest beneath one stretch and recommends fishing. I scan, lock the spot, attach an enhanced bait, cast, and wait. Whether night fishing has a hidden buff or what, the float dips less than 3 minutes in. Insight reads a 5-star ordinary wooden chest containing 100 refined goose feather saber, with the fishing skill calling for recoil and pull, alternating slack and tension. The saber is forged from 100 refined profound iron, cuts iron like mud, and is incredibly sharp, with a blade length of 118 centimeters, a blade width of 3.5 centimeters, a straight body with an arc and a reverse edge at 1/4 of the tip. A melee weapon, I think. I follow the technique and pull the chest ashore quickly, since my strength and constitution are both up, and chests are easier now. I open. Double happiness gives me 2 sabers, and both blades plunge straight into the dirt in front of me, gleaming with cold, sharp light. I draw one and swing casually, and the saber feels well suited for me in weight and balance. If an ordinary survivor at this stage tried to wield this, their strength and constitution would not be enough, and they would tire after a few swings, but my attributes are sufficient. With this saber, chopping off a sea monkey's head with one strike is no exaggeration. I silently mourn for 3 seconds for the monkeys eyeing Soyu Island. After flailing the saber a dozen times in empty air, I sheath it. With my current strength and a saber as sharp as this, any sea monkey that lands on the island gets cut down in one go. I have not trained sabermanship systematically, but a flurry of chaotic strikes can kill a master so long as strength and speed hold, and my strength and constitution are far above the sea monkey baseline. With night fishing off to a good start, I stroll the island edge. Insight reads a stretch dense with 2-star chests and recommends a net cast. I call the goblins to bring me the net. They scurry over with it. I attach 10 ordinary bait and cast it, then drop a stake and tie the rope. With my glut of ordinary bait, the simple net is a true beginner's divine artifact. I cast a second net at a different spot using the same method. Meanwhile, Wang Dong, who has decided to night fish too, is nearly scared out of his wits. He had set up 2 large flashlights from a chest and was about to relieve himself toward the sea when a shadowy figure flashed across the surface not far away. He shivers, almost peeing on his hand, retreats a few steps, yanks his pants up and stares at the sea. He swallows hard, asking himself whether sea ghosts exist after all. He pinches his thigh. The pain confirms there really are monsters in the sea. He clicks into the chat and asks whether anyone has seen monsters in the sea. As the 10th place player, his message immediately gets noticed. Someone asks what kind of monster. Another wonders if it is the thing the diver ran into. Another guesses sea ghosts straight out of tomb raiding novels. Another snorts that it might as well be sea monkeys. The chat lights up over Wang Dung's single line. When no one in the channel knows what he saw, he sends me a private chat asking for help and saying people will die because there are monsters in the sea. I am busy fishing when his ping arrives. He must have seen sea monkeys too, I think. I accept. From his message, I confirm my guess. With my spirit higher, my reasoning has sharpened, and the picture clicks together fast. I tell him that if he is not dead, he should report what he saw. Otherwise, no need, since I do not want him haunting my dreams. He fires back that he is alive and that the monster has scales, resembles a human, and he saw nothing else. Sharp guy, he had figured out from the chat that ordinary survivors do not yet know what this thing is. But I might. I tell him paid exchange. 1 ordinary energy crystal for some information. Robbery, he winces. He had spent the last 2 days reselling some of the information he bought from me, but a whole crystal for monster intel is too steep. He asks if it can be cheaper. I do not bother replying. After 4 or 5 minutes of silence on my end, he finally accepts that I am ignoring him. Reluctant to spend a crystal but unwilling to offend me, he sends a face-saving message that he will trade when he is rich. My eyelids twitch and I keep fishing. In the public chat, the sea monster topic gets shouldered aside by something else. Someone announces he knows what ordinary energy crystals are for, that when crushed and mixed with 300 grams of flour, they make 30 portions of ordinary bait. The wall lights up. People marvel that the news is real, praise the announcer as a good person, and contrast his openness with whoever knew the use first and refused to share. Another snipes that the keyboard warriors who never share information are spitting nonsense, and predicts that after the protection period, when those people die, everything but their mouths will be soft. Many of the arrows aim at me since I have held the top spot from day 1 and most cannot private message me unless they meet my filter. Survivors get jealous, and that is normal. That is also why I rarely speak in chat unless I am acquiring something. I do not care what they think of me. My priority is survival, not daily verbal warfare. The other top 10 survivors observe the wall coldly, several of them sneering. They decide the channel is full of fools who will not be able to cry once the top ranker eventually gains the authority to sanction ordinary survivors. As for Wang Dung, when he sees the name of the man who publicized the use, he wishes he could go and stab him twice, since that man is the one who paid Wang Dung resources to learn the use in the first place. The man is Li Jiam, who learned the use of the crystal from Wang Dung and immediately broadcast it. He had reasoned that the use would leak with time anyway, so he chose to strike first and establish a persona before the knowledge became common, and his real plan was to use that built-up trust to scam people next. The light screen in front of him is full of private message requests. The corner of his mouth lifts, like a fish is taking his bait. How many unfortunate souls will fall for the next move is a question yet to play out. Meanwhile, I have just fished a slightly special item. The ordinary water-repelling bead lets the wearer repel water underwater for 2 hours, with a maximum diving depth of 50 meters, and recharges in direct sunlight at 10% per hour after depletion. I roll the bead in my fingers and consider sending a goblin down to scout underwater, then suppress the idea. Sea monkeys are lurking, and a goblin sent down would just be a meal. Plus it is night, so visibility is 0. If a scout dive happens, it has to be in daylight. I slip one bead around my neck and pocket the other. A goblin shouts from nearby that the net is moving. I jog over. Insight reads the net's catch as 3 1 stars and 7 2 stars. With contents including 1 fiberglass, 1 simple fishing net, a 20 milliliter physique potion, 200 rounds of Type 59 ammunition, a +1 island area fragment, an ordinary loyalty potion, a diesel generator, a box of steak, a box of Maotai, and 2 large tents. I tell the goblin to pull the net up. He strains and obeys. Every cast and pull yields me at least 6 or 7 2 stars, which says how rich my haul has become. Other survivors might still be eating bread and drinking cold water, while I have a cabin dedicated to chest storage. Even with a simple net and decent bait, ordinary survivors cannot match my pace, since they cannot precisely target zones in a single cast yielding even 1 2 stars luck. With my baseline of 1.5 stars at minimum, plus double happiness, the math is on my side. The net comes ashore. I pick out the chests with the +1 fragment, the 20 milliliter physique potion, the simple fishing net, and the loyalty potion, and have the goblins move the rest into the cabin. The ordinary loyalty potion lets a low-level servant who drinks it gain 30 loyalty points, with the recommendation that a servant drink it at 70 loyalty for a fanatical loyalty effect. Good item, I think, and it occurs to me that Wang Dung's servant gap might not be impossible to acquire. After all, but I already turned Wang Dung down, so I will not approach him directly. The thought sits while I act. One more low-level serving would not change my life that much. I activate the 2+1 fragments first, then chug the 2 physique potions. Either my body has built tolerance from the previous potions, or my baseline is high enough now, but the tingling is faint and the effect lasts only about 5 minutes. If my panel had not nudged Constitution upward, I would have suspected fakes. Time to get every base attribute to 5, I tell myself, and grab the simple fishing net to circle the island again. Insight reads stretch after stretch, as full of 1 stars or damaged stars, none of them worth a netcast. After a dozen relocations, I find nothing suitable and wonder if I have been fishing too aggressively for the chests around my island to refresh. I sit on the massage chair, light up a Wazi cigarette, and decide to lurk and chat instead. Scrolling back, the wall has been needling me all night. I do not care, since insults take nothing from me. My life is awesome and they cannot imagine how. Even saints cannot be fully selfless, and I am no saint. The night owl crowd is still up. One survivor jokes that the big shots are busy fishing, while the rest of them flood the channel with 10 messages a day. Another tells him to drop the I feel hedge, count how often the top 10 ever speak, and notice that the number 1 big shot only posts an acquisition message and goes silent. Another sighs that this is the second day of envying the boss and missing his girlfriend. A dirty joke offers him an inflatable substitute, which he tells to keep itself. Another curses how cold it is even with a tent. I scan the wall, and since I have not used my daily trades, I edit a fresh listing. The trade channel is empty of anything worth bidding on. I list myself as acquiring strength, constitution, spirit attribute potions, and island fragments, with exchange items pinned at the top of the trade channel. The wall reacts at once. People marvel that the number 1 boss is back, beg for food, offer black stockings, deduce that attribute potions must be attribute boosters, and gripe that they are still scrambling for food while I have moved on. I edit the trade. My listing offers 8 kilograms of rice or 4 kilograms of meat, plus 1 pack of Furom Wang cigarettes, plus 3 steaks, in exchange for one of any of the following: Strength Potion at 0 of 4, Constitution Potion at 0 of 2, Spirit Potion at 0 of 3, plus 1 Island Area Fragment, with a note that each potion or fragment can be exchanged for the full bundle in parentheses. Since people are not short of fresh water after the rain, I tweak the conditions a little compared to past trades. The 2-star chest haul is rich, and double happiness still doubles it, so there is no way to lose. And the trade also helps clear the chest pile in my cabin. Anyone with attribute potions or fragments has to be opening 2-star chests to get them, so a low price would not move them. The chat reacts again. People note that I have pinned again and lament that they have none of these items, since trading a few would carry them for days. Another calls me rolling in money and accuses me of being cold-blooded for not sharing food. Another laughs out a joke that someone willing to donate 10 million when asked turns shy when asked to donate the actual car he has, with the moral being that generosity is easy until the car is real. Another laughs that whoever tries to morally blackmail the boss with a keyboard probably still lives in a peaceful world. I send another pin. First come, first served, and once today's trades are used up, I am not acquiring more. Someone yells to charge, since he just opened a +1 fragment from a 2-star and considers my price good. The price is no longer low in some eyes, but few survivors have both a fragment and surplus food. The system pings me on a successful trade and asks me to retrieve the +1 fragment. The food bundle disappears from my inventory. I extract the +1 fragment and silently use it. The island grows by another square meter, to 142 square meters total. The system pings again on a second successful trade, this time for a 20 milliliter strength potion. There really are potions for sale, I marvel. I had not expected anyone to part with what is the best early game stat boost. I had also overlooked the fact that other survivors awaken all kinds of strange talents, which can render certain potions useless to the awakener. The seller this time has the F rank innate strength talent, which gives an initial strength of 5 and turns the painstakingly fish strength potion into a chicken rib. He almost chugged it himself just out of frustration before reading the precaution label. I do not need to know any of that. As long as someone is selling potions, ordinary daily necessities for raw stat gains is a clean profit. Potions sit mostly in 2-star chests, so they are still relatively rare, and the trade window quiets down by the time I finish drinking the strength potion. I clench my fist and feel the bump in strength. I get up and circle the island looking for refresh. Insight reads stretch after stretch as half stars or 1 stars, not worth a net or a rod. Then a reading puts the small sea monkey monster 5 meters down at 1 stretch. Why not lure this thing onto the island and beat it to death, I think, since seeing it always annoys me. I decide to try in daylight tomorrow. After more wandering with no fishing spot found, I dejectedly carry the rod back to the cabin, drop it inside and step out to the bonfire where the 4 goblins are gathered. I tell them in a deep voice to pair up tonight and take watch in shifts. The 4 reply that their slaves understand. I nod, pull the Toyota door open, slide in, kill my cold weather gear, switch on the air conditioning, and lie back. I cannot fall asleep at once, but rest counts. I drift off without realizing it. When I open my eyes, the sky outside is bright. Comfortable, I murmur as I stretch and pull the Toyota door open. A goblin immediately approaches and reports that nothing unusual happened around the island last night. I nod and wave him toward the cabin to fetch breakfast, then walk to the simple toilet at the edge of the island and release the excess water from my body. Afterward, I wash up and eat, and pick up the rod again, ready to find a spot. I pick the rod up to find a spot, and the system pings me to claim the daily on-list bait reward. I claim, since 20 bait equals an ordinary energy crystal. Insight reads a stretch with traces of 4-star and 5-star chests, then another stretch with a 5-star chest specifically. Fishing recommended. I lock the spot, cast as usual, and wait. The on-list ranked chests cannot be claimed today, since I have to wait until tomorrow morning. The float dips. Insight reads a 5-star ordinary wooden chest containing a smart navigation map to a deserted small island less than 3 nautical miles away. The map records the location of an uninhabited island with an area of 100 square meters, and on that island sits an undamaged island heart that when integrated can expand my island by 100 square meters. 3 nautical miles is about 5.5 kilometers, I calculate, and the potential is real. With my strength and insight, the chest poses no risk of unhooking. After about 20 minutes of standoff, I drag it ashore. Double happiness gives me 2 palm-sized objects that look like phone screens. A green starting point and a blue endpoint sit on each, like map navigation. The 2 maps show the same island. I am not upset, since double happiness duplicates an item identically and does not change the destination. I drop the fishing and call the goblins. I tell the 2 goblins I first opened from chests to get on the speedboat. They climb on. I had traded the speedboat from Wang Dong, fueled it, and let the goblins handle it, and they have a touch of mechanical talent, picking up the controls in about an hour. Though they only dared to circle for a minute or two, not far from the island at first. I step on the speedboat too. I scan the water, find no anomalies, and tell the 2 goblins to start the boat and follow my instructions. They start it, and I point in the direction the navigation map indicates. They drive in that direction. I sit on the speedboat seat watching the surrounding water in the map. Insight pings me. 5 meters below the sea behind me there are traces of sea monkeys. I read this as me having left the island's protection radius and the creature wanting to attack. I tell the goblins to speed up. The boat accelerates, and as ordinary speedboats run 40 to 60 knots, the sea monkey, as a humanoid, cannot keep up. The insight prompt for the monkey fades. Either I shook it off or it dove deeper. I am mindful but not anxious. About 4 minutes later, I see a small island ahead, similar to mine. Half a minute later, I am at its edge. I have the 2 goblins secure the boat and step onto the deserted island. Insight reads it as a level 1 deserted island, left behind because the island lord died, with an island heart at the center that poses no threat and can be taken directly. The note tells me that after the heart is taken, the island will collapse and sink in 1 minute. So I should leave fast after grabbing it. I see a collapsed thatched hut at the center, and the traces look fresh enough that I wonder whether other beings or even humans were sent to this world before us. As I am pondering, the sea monkey from earlier struggles toward the deserted island, since it is a tenacious thing. Forget it, I tell myself. Get the heart first. I head for the collapsed hut at the center. Approaching the hut, I see beast-like claw marks on the timbers, deep enough to suggest the previous lord may have been dragged off by a sea monkey. I shake the speculation off and clear the timbers. With my physique and strength, the wood goes flying. A light yellow crystal-like object sits on the ground beneath. Insight reads it as a level 1 island heart, conceived by an island after the death of its lord, with a 6-month lifespan before it shatters into fragments and sinks. The owner can integrate it to expand the island. I grab it. It is heavy, at least 100 pounds. Without my upgraded body, I would not have lifted it. I sprint for the speedboat, since the island will collapse in 1 minute, and I do not want to ride a vortex. I reach the boat, leap aboard, and tell the goblins to start the boat and head back. They obey. The deserted island shakes violently, ready to collapse any second, and I tell the goblins to push speed. I sit and scan the surrounding water. The sea monkey from earlier arrives at the crumbling deserted island and sees its prey escaping again on the strange contraption. Its mind is mostly muddled rage. According to its clan elders, 2-legged monsters are frail and weak, dead at 1 catch. The sea monkey dives back in and swims after my boat, but it cannot catch up on the way out, and certainly cannot catch up on the way back. The deserted island collapses and disappears entirely. As we travel back, I notice the chest density beyond my own island is thick, but fishing on a speedboat is too risky, so I file it for later. 5 or 6 minutes later, I return to my island. The system pings to ask whether I want to integrate the island heart. Yes, I confirm. The crystal in my hand bursts into yellow light and merges into the island. Out of nothing, the island grows the way fragments make it grow, but more dramatic. The system pings to congratulate me. My island has been the first in this area to upgrade to level 2, with prosperity plus 500 and a special upgrade treasure chest reward. I claim the level 2 upgrade treasure chest contains 1 tier 1 marrow cleansing pill, a pill that can let an ordinary person cleanse marrow and change constitution, with the specific effect dependent on physique. The refining materials are Millennium Fleeceflower Root, Millennium Ginseng, Blood Essence Grass, Millennium Polygonum, and Marrow Cleansing Grass. The note tells me the first pill has the strongest effect, the second is halved, the third halved again, and the fourth has no effect. Cultivating immortality, I joke to myself. The materials are all millennium grade, which suggests a complete physical transformation. I open the level 2 chest. Double happiness gives me 2 pills. I pop the stoppers, smell a unique medicinal fragrance, and pour out a pill the size of a longan. I swallow the first. A warmth spreads from my abdomen through my whole body. Joy on my face for less than 3 seconds before I sprint for the makeshift toilet, at a speed that would shame a sprint champion. I relieve myself with great satisfaction. About half an hour later, a handsome young man supporting himself on the wooden door emerges from the toilet with trembling legs. If anyone with a weaker constitution had taken this pill, they would die on the spot. After resting on the island for a while, the color comes back. My nostrils twitch, the smell pouring off me is unbearable, and I start undressing in disgust. I tell the goblins to bring me a few buckets of water. Loyal servants are comfortable to keep, since they handle the trivial tasks. They fill several buckets with seawater and bring them over. I lift the first bucket and pour it over me from head to toe, then scrub for about 20 minutes and end up shirtless in a fresh pair of large shorts on the massage chair. I will save the second pill for later, since 2 at once would probably kill me in the toilet. Insight reads, sea monkey traces below the surface again. This persistent thing wants to die. I will find a way to kill it underwater today and clear my sight. Before that, I bring up my panel. Level 2 Island Lord with 241 square meters. Upgrade experience 241 of 400. Age 23. Strength 6 and 8/10 plus 2 and 41 hundredths. Constitution 7 plus 2 and 41 hundredths. Spirit 4 and 4/10 plus 2 and 41 hundredths. Slaves 4 low-level goblins for plus 20 prosperity. Island prosperity at 750 rank 1 broken across the wooden house. For 10. Goblins for 20. Saplings for 15. Fertile soil for 20. Carnivorous plants for 10 and others. With talents SSS grade insight and unknown grade double happiness still upgradable. The marrow cleansing pill is incredibly potent since it broke the basic attribute limit of 5. I tap into the trade channel and withdraw the strength and constitution potion orders, leaving only spirit and island fragments. The chat is in uproar. Someone has discovered that the prosperity of a certain top-ranked jerk just jumped by 500 points. People wail and ask what absurd thing the boss just got. Marvel that an island prosperity could skyrocket by 500 in one go. Declare that this is the gap between people. Claim that I must have used a cheat and am not on the same survival server as the rest of them. Another asks whether I need a leg-hanging ornament. Another laments that envy is making them plasmawise. Wangdu and Gei Chung Yu, who have traded with me, feel a wave of powerlessness rise as they stare at how far ahead I have moved on the regional leaderboard, telling themselves, no one can possibly push the perverted guy down. The rest of the top 10 go silent in the same beat, and so do most of the survivors near the upper end of the rankings. As the saying goes, a soldier who does not want to be a general is not a good soldier, and these other survivors had clearly been coveting the benefits of being first. Before, although I held the lead, the gap had felt surmountable. Now many of them are directly disheartened, muttering that it is not their lack of strength but my cheat that is the problem, and asking who can possibly compete with that. I do not click into chat, since I know without thinking that the prosperity jump alone will draw enough attention, and I have nothing to gain by reading the wall. People are hundreds of thousands of miles away anyway, and there is no point showing off through a screen. I think about how to lure the sea monkey to the surface and slash it in one strike. I order a goblin to fetch a piece of raw meat, tie it with a rope, and throw it into the area Insight has flagged. I jump on the speedboat with the 100 refined goose feather saber in hand. If I stay on the island, the protection power keeps the monkey from rising, so I have to leave the island and personally lure it out. With my current physique and strength, plus the water-repelling bead, even diving in to fight the monkey directly would tilt my way, and the monkey would probably be done for. But it is better not to take risks if possible, so I am still being cautious. Beneath the surface, when the monkey sees the raw meat floating above its head, it instantly feels insulted, and it begins swimming toward the surface fast. By now it has also sensed that the two-legged beast has left the island, and is fair game. With Insight on me, the monkey cannot hide at all. The water breaks with a sharp sound and a piercing shriek as the monkey shoots out of the water and pounces toward me, a hint of excitement on its ferocious face that flips to bewilderment a beat later. Insight had handed me the monkey's trajectory the instant it broke the water, and my saber had already swung. The monkey is beheaded mid-pounce, its head and body falling separately into the sea, and patches of blood bloom across the surface. I curse at the speedboat, splattered with a lot of blood, and curl my lip in distaste. I either built tolerance from earlier deaths, or my higher spirit has dulled my disgust, since beheading the monkey felt like killing a chicken with no disgust at all. I had been hoping for a chest prompt, but none comes, so I jump back to the island a little frustrated. The blood on the speedboat I leave to the goblins. A perverse curiosity in me wants a closer look at the body, so I order a few goblins to clean the speedboat and salvage the monkey's body, and they split tasks immediately, 2 to scrub the boat and 2 to recover the corpse. I walk into the cabin, pull out the thorn fence blueprint and the chest with thorn materials I had not opened. I open the chest first, and double happiness gives me 100 portions of thorn material. I drop the blueprint on the pile and silently confirm use. The system asks me to choose where to deploy. I pick a spot and watch the wood replaced by thorns assembly play out. About a minute later, the thorn fence stands, encircling a 10 by 10 area at 2 meters height. I doubt the fence will help against sea monkeys, since their scales resist thorns, but it should defend against other creatures. I push the gate open and walk in. From now on, entering the island core means going through the fence's front or back gate. The goblins return from boat and salvage duty and look briefly confused at the new fixture, since they were busy and missed the construction. I step out of the fence with the rod. The 2 goblins cleaning the boat run over and report it as washed. The 2 who salvaged the monkey point to the body, headless. I walk to the body and read. The sea monkey corpse has no vital signs and no edible value, with the system recommending it be used as flower fertilizer. I look at the carnivorous plants, which under the growth accelerant are nearly mature and about to bloom, and tell the goblins to throw the body under the roots. I head off to find a fishing spot. The goblins lift the body together. The 2 carnivorous plants are on the east and west sides of the island, leaning against the fence. The goblins drop the body at the roots of one. The not yet bloomed plant moves at once, several thick roots punching into the body and beginning to drink it like a beverage. The goblins back away, scalps tingling. If I were watching, I would notice that the east plant, fed the sea monkey, has slightly better attributes than the west. Insight scans the water. One stretch is mostly 1 stars and 2 stars, not recommended. Another is a cluster of 2 stars recommended for net or rod. I find a net spot and decide I have lost interest in fishing 2 stars. My target is 5 stars, since I have several enhanced bait left. Insight reads a 5-star chest 5 meters down at another spot. Fishing recommended. I cast the net, then wander a little before locking the rod spot. Baiting the hook, casting the line, and once the bait enters the water, it is time to wait. There is no other way. Fishing is like that. Fortunately, I am doing fixed point fishing, so it is not long before the 5-star chest at the bottom takes the hook. After all my observations, high-star chests stay with their own kind and rarely cluster with low stars, while 2 stars and below mix more freely. At least every 5-star ordinary chest I have read so far has held to that pattern, and clusters of half stars and 1 stars often hide a scattered 2-star, while clusters of 2 stars sometimes carry scattered halves and 1s. The float dips. Insight reads a 5-star ordinary wooden chest containing 1 portion of 100-year ice silkworm silk, an excellent material for fishing lines that, with the black iron grade fishing rod upgrade blueprint, upgrades an ordinary rod to black iron grade. The silk is high temperature resistant, low temperature resistant, and extremely strong. The second upgrade material. My spirits lift, since an upgrade frees me from carefully reeling on 5 stars and lets me try fishing higher black iron chests if I get the right bait. I still have to figure out the enhanced bait shortage. Compared to my glut of ordinary bait, I have only 3 portions of enhanced bait left, and once they go, I am out. While reeling, I drag the 5-star ice silkworm silk chest ashore. Since the rod upgrade materials are not all gathered, I do not open this chest yet, and place it aside. The trade channel pings me. My 20 milliliter mental potion listing has sold. I had only acquired a single strength potion and a +1 fragment last night. Then nothing else came through. So when I withdrew the strength and constitution acquisition orders earlier, 2 or 3 holders of those potions were left regretful. They had been waiting for me to raise the price, and instead, got the delisting. None of them expected me to pull the orders so quickly. Honestly, I had not either. I would not wait until my attributes were stacked to 5 points by potion before consuming the marrow cleansing pill, since Insight has already told me that the pill's efficacy depends on the user's individual physique, which means a stronger physique discounts the pill, and waiting to use a level 2 reward later is even more wasteful than using it now. I extract the mental potion. A bottle appears in my hand. I uncork and chug. Mental potions are like a refreshing drink the first time, and a mind-clearing sensation the second, comparable to ice-cold cola in summer. 3 minutes later, I murmur to myself that this time the rush is less sharp, since my mental attribute is higher, and my resistance has gone up. I tap into the trade channel out of laziness rather than fish. A Wang lists a single tent for 15 portions of wood. A Jew lists a pack of Lacoon cigarettes for 1 kilogram of instant food. Apart from my own pinned listing, the front page is mostly food trades. I run a search. Enhanced bait returns no results. Ordinary energy crystal returns no results. After the energy crystal use went public, no one is selling for now, which is expected. I run a third search. 5-star wooden treasure chest shard returns 1 seller. A she has listed 1 5-star wooden treasure chest shard of unknown use, asking for 5 kilograms of any food, 1 cold weather item, and 10 portions of wood. I do not hesitate. Fill the trade items and click purchase. The trade succeeds. I extract. The shard appears in front of me. The description tells me it is a fragment produced from the damage of a 5-star wooden chest, usable with ordinary energy crystals to make enhanced bait. If I had not gotten this through trade, I would have had to consider violently destroying a 5-star chest, foregoing its contents, just to obtain shards. I still have ordinary crystals on hand, and the goblins churn out ordinary bait whenever supply gets low. On a separate small island, the survivor named Shi, who had listed the shard for trade, nearly jumps when the success notification rings. He had only listed that one item, opened from a chest using today's guaranteed bait. His face had lit up at first when he saw the word 5-star, then dropped when he realized he had no idea what the shard was for, since it just looks like a piece of wood. He had not been a fool. Referring to the market prices for items from various star chests, he posted the shard on the trade channel hoping a big shot would pay. The information had been seen by many but not bought, since most would not spend resources on something whose use they did not know. I was the first. I take the shard, 2 ordinary crystals, some flour, and water inside the cabin. I crush the shard, drop it in a basin, pour in the crushed crystals, add flour and water, and knead. With 2 crystals, 1 shard, and the auxiliary materials, I get 10 portions of enhanced bait. 1 ordinary crystal alone makes only 5 portions of enhanced bait. If I had more shards, I would make more, since for ordinary survivors enhanced bait fishes between 3 and 5-star chests, but for me it specifically fishes 5 stars. I gather the bait, step out of the fence, and walk to the edge of the island. For the next stretch I keep a steady rhythm of 1 5-star chest per hour. 8 hours later the nightfall ping reminds me to layer up. Time flies, I murmur, glancing at the dim sky and stretching. The 8 5-star chests on the ground draw a smile out of me. The contents include the black iron profound hook, the black iron grade fishing rod upgrade blueprint, a +10 island area fragment, 500 kilograms of rice, 300 kilograms of wagyu beef, 10 ordinary energy crystals, a special warning device, and a soft thorn armor. Among them, the black iron hook and the upgrade blueprint, paired with the 100-year ice silkworm silk and 100 refined profound iron I already have, are enough to upgrade my ordinary rod to a black iron grade rod. A pity no black iron grade bait dropped this time. The special warning device is a solar-powered tech product from another world, generating a circular warning radius of 10 meters once activated, monitoring all living creatures within range. After pressing the power button, the user can manually shield specific creatures from monitoring. The soft thorn armor is a craft product from another world, granting wearer-level defense capable of resisting even the 100 refined goose feather saber, with a note not to blindly trust its defense and to dodge when needed. Looking at the armor, my mind flashes to a film and television drama from my old life. I shake the thought off and pick out the chest with the black iron profound hook, the upgrade blueprint, and the +10 fragment. Double happiness gives me 2 of each, +2 +10 fragments. I activate the fragments and the island grows by another 20 square meters. I rush into the cabin, dig out the 100 refined profound iron and ice silkworm silk, and place them next to the ordinary rod. The system asks whether I want to use the black iron grade fishing rod blueprint with the 100 refined profound iron, 100-year ice silkworm silk, and black iron profound hook to upgrade the ordinary rod. I confirm. The blueprint dissolves into white light and merges into the rod, and the other materials follow under a special force. 5 minutes later, a black iron grade rod appears in front of me. The black iron grade fishing rod can fish for black iron grade 3-star and below treasure chests, with a note that the line and hook are extremely sharp and can serve as weapons, and a reminder to be careful not to cut myself. The upgrade materials list calls for 200 refined profound iron, 2 black iron profound hooks, 200-year ice silkworm silks, and 1 black iron grade fishing rod enhanced blueprint for the next tier. My brow knits. I had thought a black iron grade rod could fish black iron 5-star chests directly. It seems I was thinking too much, since I will need another upgrade for that. Forget it, I tell myself, since I do not even have ordinary black iron bait, so thinking too far is useless. I grab the rod from the ground and casually flick it. A strong whoosh sound rolls out. Damn it. I forgot this is not the seaside, I curse, and the hook arcs into the wood of the cabin and embeds itself there. The profound hook is sharp enough that no damage occurs, but I have to use a knife to cut an opening in the wood to pull it out. I set the rod aside and pick up the special warning device. The screen lights up when I press the switch, and a mechanical voice asks me to follow the prompts and press my middle finger on the screen for identity binding. I press. Identity bound. Proceed with monitoring. Yes, I confirm. An invisible wave radiates from the device. The system pings that 5 lifeforms are detected within the warning range, and asks whether I want to include them in the shielding range. Yes. The device stops flashing red. I scan the surroundings, glance at the device, and toss it into the cabin. By the time I am done, the sky has fully darkened. The goblins have lit a bonfire and set up the solar lamp efficiently. My haul today is not just 5 stars, since I also pulled plenty of 2 stars during the wide net cast, but most went into the cabin unopened. I take some food from the cabin, leave the fence, and walk to the bonfire. With my island area at 261 square meters, I have sent the goblins to sleep outside the fence as night watch. I provide each goblin a single tent and cold weather supplies. They are loyal subordinates, and I do not mistreat them. I drop a bag of instant food and tell them dinner. Then I patrol the edge of the island. I do not eat with the goblins, and while their faces are not extremely repulsive, Eating side by side would kill my appetite. Insight reads a stretch as scarce, another as 1 stars, and another as half stars and ones with scattered 2s. After scanning around without finding a 5-star chest, I rub my nose. Did I fish too much during the day? And now they are restocking. Forget it, I tell myself and carry the rod back to the cabin. I build a fire outside, set a pot, and fry steaks. I had pulled vegetables, but most are still in chests. I cannot finish them, and I am too lazy to stir fry, so meat with fruit is more convenient. Asking the goblins to stir fry vegetables is out. I fry 7 or 8 steaks at once, since my appetite has grown along with my fitness, and I will probably become a bottomless pit. Without abundant supplies, I would not survive. While eating, I dip into the chat. Each passing day shaves the protection period down, and various things will keep happening. Someone calls for help saying he was relieving himself when he saw a dark shadow staring at him, terrified, asking whether it could be a monster. Another tells him to be confident, drop the maybe, and that it is 100% a monster, citing the top 10 boss who encountered the same thing. Wang Dung chimes in saying, brother, he is here, also has not figured out what it is, but the thing should not attack the island within 7 days, and that after 7 days it is hard to say. Have many people seen sea monkeys or other creatures, I wonder? After thinking, I edit a message and post. There is a monster in the sea called a sea monkey. I do not know if it is the one they saw, and the creature has scales all over its body, strength 3 or 4 times that of an ordinary person. Swift movement in water, simple cognition, and I just killed one today. The chat detonates. Wang Dung exclaims that the boss is awesome and that sea monkeys really exist. Another thanks me for the information and says he is less scared knowing what the thing is. Another shudders at strength 3 or 4 times normal, asking whether he would be torn apart underwater. Another marvels at me killing one directly. Another asks how I killed it, and whether I went underwater. Another snipes that if I had this information, why not share earlier? Another snaps at the snarker that it is precisely because there are too many idiots like him that I am too lazy to speak in the channel. I feel little watching the praise wall. The information is useless to me now, sharing causes me no loss, and how many escape sea monkeys depends on individual luck. As for charging Wang Dung earlier for monster information, that was to prevent him from treating my place as a free source, otherwise he would annoy me to death later. Speak of the devil, Wang Dung's private chat ping arrives. So does Gay Sheng Yu's, then Zhou Yil's, then a survivor named Li Hyun. My brows furrow. Could they coordinate, or why all at once? Another ping asks whether, given the request volume, I want to create a 5-person private room. There is even this kind of operation, I think, and I confirm. The 4 of them get a slightly different ping inviting them to join a 5-person private room created by me. Wang Dung, hearing my name, jumps yes, without thinking. Gay Chong Yu, Zhou Yil, and a girl named Li Hyun also agree. I post in the room asking them what they need. The 4 pause, since their original intent was a private one-on-one rather than a public 5-way. Wang Dung breaks first, asking how to kill a sea monkey and offering to pay. Gay Cheongyu, Zhou Yil, and Li Hyun all chorus the same question and offer to pay. These guys must think I used some special method, I marvel. After thinking, I tell them when I killed the sea monkey, I just split the thing in half with 1 saber, that there is no special method, and that they are asking the wrong person. I exit the room. I had thought their team-up implied something big, and instead it was just this. After I leave, room ownership falls to Wang Dung. The 4 sit in silence for a moment. Gie Cheng-yu breaks the silence and tells the room her intuition says I did not lie, and that I really did kill a sea monkey with 1 saber and no special method. Wang Dung exclaims at the gap between people. Zhou Yil reasons that according to my information, sea monkeys are not too terrifying, and that as long as they are careful, killing one should not be too difficult, since attribute potions and other items can boost strength, and everyone has a talent. Li Hyun agrees with Brother Zhu. I finish the steak in my bowl, spoon out half a watermelon, and drink a bottle of carbonated drink. My life is enviable. While others scrabble for survival, I am on vacation. I climb onto the roof of the car and lie back lazily. Hands behind my head, I watch the night sky over the sea, thoughts drifting. Then a piercing sound interrupts. Warning, warning, unknown life detected in the southeast direction. I jolt off the roof, rush southeast toward the fence, and the goblins still awake swarm toward me. At the southeast edge, with the solar lamp and moonlight, I see another sea monkey on the surface, staring at me with a ferocious expression. Insight reads it as sea monkey, female, strength 4, constitution 4, spirit 1 and 1/10, stronger than males, with weaker nerve pain, and one of the monster's new survivors may face after the 7-day protection period. The note tells me the creature is in an extremely hostile state toward me, and recommends immediate elimination, and the combat power comparison says with a saber in hand, killing it is like killing a chicken. I wonder if the male I killed during the day was this one's mate. Half its body exposed, the female looks like she wants to devour me alive, releasing piercing shrieks now and then, and would have charged if not for the protection power around the island. You want to kill me, I murmur. I will give you a chance. I walk along the edge with the saber, and the female follows my movement. I jump onto the speedboat where I killed the male during the day, and the female loses control. Slaughter occupies its mind, the mission and destiny of its race. I stand quietly on the boat, saber in hand. With insight, the female cannot ambush me even submerged. All it can do is face me head on. With a splash, a larger monkey leaps out of the water under the moonlight, imposing. My saber gleams cold. I single-hand grip and slash up. We collide at extreme speed, and this time I do not kill in one blow. The monkey, sensing a threat to its life, used its hands as a guard during the pounce, blocking my saber from a direct kill. A huge force transfers from the saber to my body, but my physique and strength far exceed the monkey, and I stabilize. The female crashes onto the boat. The boat is decent quality, otherwise it would have a hole. I yank the saber out of its chest bones and deliver a second strike. The monkey, which had taken the first strike at the cost of its arms, cannot withstand the second and dies on the spot. I was careless, I tell myself, looking at the messy boat and the corpse. Next time I encounter this, my strikes need to be more precise. I jump back ashore with the saber. The first strike not killing left a lot of blood on my cold-proof suit, so I will change. I tell the goblins to clean the boat and throw the body to the carnivorous plants. I duck into the cabin and re-emerge in another suit. 2 goblins scrub the boat with seawater while 2 others move the female's body to the carnivorous plant's roots. With nothing else to do, I appear beside the plants devouring the body. The East plant reads as ordinary carnivorous plants, status joyful, abilities entanglement, and rapid digestion. The description tells me it was cultivated from ordinary seeds, that its roots devouring the sea monkey body have caused a slight mutation, that I can keep feeding it monster corpses, and that when it mutates enough, special materials can advance it to a higher tier. The note tells me plants on the island automatically recognize the Lord as their master with no risk of going out of control. This is starting to feel like a plant-raising game, I think, and at this moment I have some guesses about the world. I remember an explanation of Geishu in old texts, a great chasm east of the Bohai Sea, countless billions of miles away, a bottomless valley named Geishu. Based on the items fished these past few days, I suspect the Geishu Sea may be the final destination where all worlds go to perish. Otherwise, how are items from different worlds inside chests pulled from the water? Speculation, I admit, beyond what a novice can confirm. I shake the thought off and touch the plant, which sways slightly in response. It has not developed sentience yet, but plant instinct combined with the island's power makes it close to me. I check the boat cleaning goblins, scan the surface for anomalies, find none, and walk to the Toyota inside the fence. Get in, take off clothes, turn on the air conditioning, by habit. The night passes uneventfully. I sleep well until dawn. The system pings me to claim today's on-list bait reward and a 3-day top-ranked treasure chest. I claim. A chest slightly more ornate than the 1-day chest appears in my arms. The 3-day top-ranked treasure chest contains plus 20 island area fragments, already more than the fragments from a single 5-star chest. A smile breaks across my face. Double happiness gives me 2 plus 20 fragments. I activate them. The island expands by 40 square meters, total now 301 square meters. My Constitution attribute breaks 10 under the island's bonus. The system pings to congratulate me on Constitution breaking 10 and to add a personal combat power tier line to my panel. I bring up the panel. Level 2 Island Lord with 301 square meters, upgrade experience 301 of 400, age 23. Strength 6 and 8/10 plus 3 and 100ths. Physique 7 plus 3 and 100ths. Spirit 4 and 6/10 plus 3 and 100ths. Comprehensive combat power rating, ordinary tier 6, with a black iron tier 0. Ordinary tier 6 is my regular combat power, while black iron tier 0 is calculated with weapons, talents, and island bonus. I wonder what level the top rankers in other regions have hit. I do not feel like the strongest among all novice areas. Water Blue Star had a normal population of 20 billion. Excluding under 14s and elderly, at least 10 billion remain. At 5,000 per region, that is at least 2 million regions. Among those, there must be SSS talent prodigies, so my modest strength is nothing to be proud of. I shake the thoughts off, walk into the cabin, deal with hunger by making some breakfast, and pick up the black iron grade rod toward the edge. I am impatient. I have not tested the feel of the new rod. Insight reads stretches as ordinary chests are 1 stars and 2s, none worth a cast. Then a stretch reads as 5 meters down with a 5-star ordinary chest, fishing recommended. After several relocations, I lock the spot. Bait, cast, wait. About 10 minutes in, I yank the rod hard. The line whistles, and Insight reads a 5-star ordinary monster treasure chest containing an ordinary merman, with the chest trowel calling for me to slay the merman to receive the reward, and the fishing skill reading great strength yields miracles. The ordinary merman has strength 6, constitution 6, spirit 4, weapon spear, skill merman shriek that emits a piercing shriek to attack an enemy spirit when in danger, with the power dependent on both parties' spirit attributes, and a combat level of ordinary tier 4 to 6. The note tells me the merman race has a fishtail and human body, with formidable combat strength in water but greatly reduced on land, and a head weakness. The combat suggestion warns of the shriek combined with spear thrusts, and recommends long-range firearm potshots. With the new rod, I do not need to pull and tug, just brute force. This is my first 5-star monster chest, and the inside is significantly stronger than goblins. I drag the chest ashore, touch it, open. White light. A merman with fishtail and human body materializes on the island. Damn, ugly thing. This and the sea monkeys must be relatives, I mutter. Before the bewildered merman reacts, I pull the pistol and fire several rounds. With my fitness at point blank, I do not miss, but I do not hit the head either, since the merman, the moment the first hole appears, guards its head with both hands and lets out a piercing shriek. With sound that fast, I take the hit, but on the island my spirit is nearly double the merman's, so my head only sinks slightly and there is no further reaction. Others' cries ask for money, yours asks for life. I curse, and I open up. Each shot drills a small bloody hole. The merman's constitution is stout, and before vital organs are hit, the lethality of my old-fashioned pistol drops sharply once the rounds penetrate scales and high-density muscle. The merman, almost driven mad, locks onto me and hurls its spear. Insight had read its movement, and I dodge. If that thing struck me, even my body would be pierced through. The merman, having thrown the spear, lies on the ground with a ferocious expression, since on land it cannot stand upright. Without spear or skill left, in my eyes it is a fish waiting to be slaughtered. Saber up, accelerate, charge. At close distance, the half-prone merman has no time. My saber strikes its neck, and seeing that one strike has not severed the neck completely, I jump back to avoid the spray. The merman's ferocity drops into a bewildered, incredulous look, and the body slams onto the ground in a spreading pool of blood. The system pings me out a successful slay of the ordinary merman, with chest reward ordinary mermaid guards ×1, and double happiness gives me 2. The mermaid guards have strength 6, constitution 6, spirit 4, loyalty 100, die hard, universal language implanted, weapon spear, skill merman shriek, combat level ordinary tier 4 to 6, with advancement materials of 10 ordinary merman pearls and 5 liters of elite merman blood for elite merman guard. After the kill, white light flashes, the merman vanishes, and only blood on the ground remains. 2 stout mermaid guards appear in front of me, half prone. I tell them to go into the sea. Thank you, master, joy on their ferocious faces, and they crawl on their arms to the edge. 2 splashes, both jump in. I walk to the edge and tell the 2 mermaid guards to dive and circle the island once and report what they see at the bottom. They confirm and dive. Although I have a water-repelling bead, I have never gone into the water myself. Now with 2 mermaid guards, I am curious. About 10 minutes later, they surface one after the other and report that the rock layer beneath the island is about 5 meters deep, that the entire island floats on the water, and that the local sea is only about 100 meters deep, considered shallow sea. Wait, I ask, did you see any chests in the sea? Chests? What chests, they ask, visibly bewildered. They cannot see those chests. Either the chests are between illusion and reality, or only become visible once removed from seawater. You two wait, I will go down and look. Since the water is only 100 meters deep, with my fitness and the bead I can dive easily, and I have already killed 2 sea monkeys. I strip down to shorts and plunge in. The 2 mermaid guards flank me at 1 meter underwater. The moment I enter, my eyes nearly dazzle. The underwater world is filled with chests. Damaged wooden chest with a tattered tent. Half-star ordinary wooden chest with 500 milliliters of Sprite. Half-star ordinary pet treasure chest with 1 pet snow rabbit. 2-star ordinary servant treasure chest with 1 servant at 60 initial loyalty. The chests have a life of their own, not staying fixed but moving like schools of fish. Repositioning. I reach for a 1-star chest. It dodges me. They move so fast underwater, I marvel. With my temper, can I tolerate a chest slipping? After a 1-minute standoff guided by insight, I catch a 1-star chest. The system pings that the novice period is not ended. Illegal fishing for chests is a violation, and I should release the chest in my hand or be punished. The word punishment kills my mood. I throw the chest away as if burning. I curse, give the middle finger, and decide it is not worth diving deeper, since I cannot grab anything. I swim to the surface, grab a protruding rock at the edge, and climb on. I tell the mermaid guards to guard around the island and report any anomalies. They confirm. I return to the cabin and eat the second tier 1 marrow cleansing pill. My stomach reacts immediately. The pill is truly excellent for clearing the digestive system. About 20 minutes later, I emerge from the makeshift toilet. Calves trembling, face a little pale. I check my panel. Strength and constitution have both reached 8, with spirit still under the 5-point line. After a short rest, color returns. I exhale heavily and pick up the rod. Since I cannot grab chests underwater, fishing and netting remain my only legitimate routes. I sit on the chair and tap into chat. Just fishing is boring, and dragging the goblins for conversation is unthinkable. The wall is gloomier than the previous days. Someone laments that the days are getting harder, with no food, no drink, no women. Another suggests jumping into the sea and committing suicide, asking the suicidal type to hand over supplies before going since waste is shameful. And the third tells him to drop dead. Another asks whether other regions are similar. Another says probably so, with the top shots in each region living comfortably while the rest just accompany the prince in his studies. Another says it is more like raising vipers. The energy crystal use was hyped, but yesterday's reality told them that for ordinary survivors, the daily guaranteed bait portion makes catching a crystal extremely unlikely. A reading flags a black iron grade chest 10 meters down, with no bait suitable for it. I cannot fish it. A clever housewife cannot cook without rice. I do notice something, that perhaps because my strength has improved, I can perceive more information now. Before, for chests 1 to 5 meters down, insight gave me only the star rating and not the contents until the chest hooked. Now, after consuming the second pill, I can perceive both the star rating and the contents directly. 3 meters below, one stretch there are 5 2-star chests, 3 1-star chests, and 2 1.5 stars, containing 1 ordinary energy crystal, 1 ordinary fishing rod upgrade blueprint, and 1 ordinary embroidered spring blade. Insight reads the seabed not as floating text but as a 3-dimensional layout, with each chest in its specific location. A reading places a 5-star special wooden chest 5 meters down, containing a 1-time ordinary troop altar. The altar lets the user throw ordinary energy crystals into it to activate, and the more crystals, the stronger the troops summoned, with a maximum of 10 ordinary troops summoned per use. The note says a maximum of 10 crystals can be inserted, that before summoning I can enter a phrase of no more than 5 characters to determine the general direction of the troops, and that the altar is scrapped after 1 use. My eyes light up. I attach an enhanced bait and cast at the special chest's location. About 2 minutes later, the chest takes the hook. The rod arcs hard. This thing is much heavier than other 5 stars, I think. Lucky my rod is black iron grade now, otherwise this kind of catch would carry rod break risk. Under my pull, the chest is dragged ashore. Double happiness gives me 2 altars. 2 simple stone altars, about 1 meter in height and width, appear in front of me. I rush into the cabin, dig out 20 crystals and return. I insert 10 crystals into 1 altar's holes. The system asks me to enter a phrase of no more than 5 characters to confirm the troop direction. No food needed. I type. The altar is summoning, the system says. The altar emits a brilliant white light. Successfully summoned. Undead race. 10 ordinary greatsword skeletons. From the white light, a squad of tall skeletons appears. Ordinary greatsword skeleton has strength 4, constitution 4, spirit 2, weapon, ordinary greatsword, skill none, overall combat power rating, ordinary tier 4. The description tells me they are slightly stronger than small skeletons, the lowest tier of the undead race, summoned and 100% controlled by the summoner. The highest advancement potential is black iron grade elite skeleton. Advancement materials are 10 ordinary white soul fires and 1 green soul fire. The white light dissipates. The altar turns into rubble. 10 skeletons kneel on 1 knee, bowing their heads at me. Among the 10, 1 stands out. Its strength is 7, constitution 6, spirit 4, weapon ordinary greatsword, skill chaotic cloak swordplay, overall combat power rating, ordinary tier 7 to 9, with a description noting its potential is extremely outstanding among greatsword skeletons. The highest advancement potential is silver grade skeleton. General. I tell it that from now on, it is the captain of the other 9. The other 9 express submission. The skeleton race at this level cannot communicate with me yet, possessing only thin and weak intelligence, perhaps gaining communication after advancement. That does not stop me from issuing commands. I call the goblins over and tell them to find a place for the new arrivals. They scurry, leading the 10 skeleton big brothers toward where they live. I move to the second altar. 10 more crystals, no food required again. Conditions allowing, I would pick other troop types, but with such a small island, summoning troops that need feeding, watering, sleep, and bathroom breaks would be a headache. The undead race is perfect, since they do not eat, drink, sleep, or relieve themselves, intelligence aside. The system pings. Successfully summoned corpse race, ordinary bandage mummy times 10. The mummy has strength 5, constitution 5, spirit 2, weapon white bandages, overall combat power evaluation, ordinary 5th grade with a description naming it the lowest existence among the mummy race of the corpse clan, summoned and 100% controlled by the summoner. Highest advancement potential, black iron grade elite mummy. Advancement materials, 10 ordinary white mummy bandages, and I going to walk the path of the Lord of the Undead, I think, half amused. I shake the thought off. None of the 10 mummies have particularly outstanding potential. I am not too disappointed since I cannot hog all the good things. I point at one and tell it to be captain. The mummy nods mechanically. Like the skeletons, the mummies can understand commands but not communicate. I do not care, they are the lowest level troops anyway. I call the goblins again and tell them to take these newcomers too. The goblins feel bitter. So many big brothers suddenly on the island. They are loyal slaves, but they are intelligent enough to have their own thoughts. Fortunately, they realize the big brothers cannot speak, which secretly relieves them, since it means they are not yet worthless to their master. While the goblins lead the mummies away, the system pings that my prosperity has been the first to break 1,000 points, and that I have received a prosperity treasure chest. There is such a good thing, I think, and claim. The first grade prosperity treasure chest contains a building item, a 100 square meter 2-story villa with furniture. The villa item, after I select a placement location, scales to 100 square meters directly. Finally a bed. I think. My headache is that I will have to dismantle the wooden cabin to make space, and move the cars too. With the thorn fence already built, I am also basically shooting myself in the foot. I look at the fence in the sky, but it is hindering development, so it has to come down. Everyone, come over, I call. The bandaged mummies crawl out of the earth, the greatsword skeletons climb up from the ground, and the goblins scurry over. Tear down this fence, I order, pointing to the thorny ring. The goblins, mummies, and skeletons obey. Dismantling is too easy for the undead, since thorns have no effect on them. The fence goes down fast. The thorns get piled in a corner of the island, since they can still be firewood. After the fence comes down, the cabin. After the busy work, the cabin's plot is cleared, and the chests inside have moved to a different spot. Double happiness gives me 2 villa items, 2 villa models like Lego bricks in front of me. The system asks whether to place the villa here, and tells me to confirm and then move at least 10 meters away from the placement location. I confirm and run. Being crushed by a villa would be a laugh. A roar follows, and a 2-story villa covering 100 square meters appears exactly where I designated. I step forward, push the door open, and walk in. After wandering inside, apart from temporarily lacking water and electricity, the villa is much better than the cabin. I leave, tell a few goblins to move all the chests into the villa's empty rooms, and pick up the rod again, ready to fish at the edge. The greatsword skeletons and bandaged mummies I station around the villa as guards. When my island prosperity broke 1,000, most of the survivors in the area felt that they were here to survive, while others were on vacation. Joe Yeel, second on the leaderboard, looks at his prosperity, still a tiny bit short of 100, and at mine, already over 1,000, and falls silent. The chat fills with chatter about what I have done. People speculate that I must have glitched the system or found a loophole, that the accumulation speed is terrifying, that yesterday it jumped 500 and today another 300 plus. Another asks what is the point, since even if it is a bug I would not say. Another sighs that with a more powerful starting talent he would not be in such a pathetic state. Another reminds him that there are no useless talents, only useless people. The first replies asking where the comparability between F grade and SSS grade lies. I do not click into chat. I am pinpointing chests with ordinary energy crystals. I had a sufficient stock, but the altars consumed 20, so I need to restock. Insight reads a 4-star ordinary wooden chest, 5 meters down with an extremely sharp decapitation saber, and another 4-star with 8 ordinary energy crystals. No 5-star with crystals turns up, just the one 4-star. I settle for the next best and cast, since waiting could lose me the chest. 3 minutes later the float dips. With one mighty pull I fling the 4-star chest onto the island without resistance. Double happiness gives me 8 times 2 ordinary energy crystals. After collecting the crystals, my next target is 5-star chest fragments, since they are essential for enhanced bait. After a long search that aches my eyes, I net several 5-star fragments. The process also gives me other items, mostly daily necessities or construction materials. My stomach protests. Just then 2 heads emerge from the sea. The 2 mermaid guards interrupt my plan to eat. They report that they have found an uninhabited island to the northwest, about 2 nautical miles away, with an area much smaller than mine. Uninhabited island, my heart quickens. I have already tasted the sweetness of an island heart and like the item very much. Are you sure it is uninhabited, I ask. And did you see any other creatures in the water besides yourselves? The mermaid guard who reports tells me she is sure, that they thoroughly investigated and that they found no other creatures in the surrounding waters. Not even ordinary creatures, as if it is a dead sea. A strange look crosses her face, since she does not understand the absence either. Really no creatures, I think, that should not be. How do the sea monkeys survive then? They cannot be living without eating. Could they have been transmitted from other places along with us on the first day? My head aches from speculation. Even Insight could not discern the sea monkey's specific origin earlier, so guessing on my own is harder. I tell the 2 mermaid guards to go back to the deserted island and bring me a very heavy yellowish crystal from the center, to grab it and return immediately and not linger. They confirm and submerge. I do not go in person this time. I went last time because the goblins' combat power was too low and accidents were possible. Now the mermaid guards' underwater combat power can solo sea monkeys, so I am too lazy to go myself. About 17 or 18 minutes later they reappear around the island. With 2 splashes they climb on, one holding a yellowish crystal and sitting on the back of the other, who quickly crawls toward me on its arms. The greatsword skeletons and bandaged mummies guarding the villa nearly act, and I call them off. They are ours. No need. The undead return to guard. The mermaid guard on the back respectfully hands me the yellowish-brown crystal. Insight reads it as a level 1 island heart, conceived by an island whose original area was 105 square meters after its lord died, which can be used to expand my own island by 105 square meters. Good, well done. Take this food and share it, I tell them, smiling. Thank you for the master's reward, the 2 say, and the word food turns their eyes a little green, since there are no creatures in the sea for them to eat now, and their food can only come from me. They drag a meat chunk weighing over 10 caddies and submerge. I silently use the heart. The system pings to congratulate me on being the first in the area to upgrade to level 3 island, with prosperity plus 1000 and a special upgrade chest reward. I am calm about the chest reward by now, since I claimed one at level 2. Claim. The level 3 upgrade chest contains one tier 1 spirit gathering pill, refined by secret methods, with ordinary people consuming it gathering spirit and strengthening personal mental power. Refining materials are spirit gathering grass and millennium polygon atom. The note says the first pill has the strongest effect, the second halved, the third halved again, and the fourth no effect. Same series as the marrow cleansing pill, I suspect. Double happiness gives me 2 pills. I uncork one and pour it into my mouth. The first hits with cool, refreshing energy washing across my brain, satisfying enough to feel like floating. The effect lasts about an hour. After noticing this pill has no frustrating side effects like the marrow cleansing pill, I uncork the second. The second lasts about half an hour. Out of the ethereal state, I bring up my panel. Level 3 Island Lord at 406 square meters. Upgrade experience 406 of 800. Age 23. Strength 8 and 2/10 plus 4 and 600s. Physique 8 and 8/10 plus 4 and 600s. Spirit 8 and 8/10 plus 4 and 600s. Spirit 8 and 8/10 plus 4 and 600s. Comprehensive combat power rating ordinary 8th rank with black iron 1st rank. Slaves 4 low-level goblins for plus 20 prosperity. Island prosperity at 2250. Prosperity Island prosperity at 2250. Rank 1. Broken across the small villa for 100. Goblins for 20. Saplings for 30. Fertile soil for 40. Carnivorous plants for 20. And so on. Compared to before, no major changes apart from the level, the basic attributes, and prosperity, all of which are normal. My stomach protests again. Damn it, busy eating elixirs and I still have not eaten food. I suppress hunger, grab instant food from the villa, and start the daily barbecue. Most of the daytime has passed and night is approaching, so I do not bother fishing more. Since the high-star chests fishable today are already pulled and the evening is for restock, I figured this pattern out after a few days. Plenty of low stars remain around the island, but I do not care for those. Just as I take the first bite of hot grilled meat, the 2 mermaid guards shout from the edge that they have found something. I jog over, grilled meat in hand, and using the not yet fully dark sky, I see a sea monkey body floating in front of them. What is going on? My eyes narrow. The mermaid guard reports that the thing suddenly appeared from the sea while they were eating, attacked them at once, and they killed it together. Sea monkeys really might be teleporting in from elsewhere, I think, looking at the half-torn body. I tell them to be careful underwater, and to climb onto the island immediately if anything is unusual. After thinking, I have no good solution, so I will kill them one by one as they come, and the carnivorous plants need bodies to advance anyway. Get this thing onto the island and throw it at the base of the carnivorous plants. Following the principle of not wasting anything, I instruct, and walk back with my grilled meat. Several goblins, hearing the commotion, scurry over and take over the on-land work from the mermaid guards. The goblins have that much common sense. I sit by the bonfire and devour the grilled meat. Several caddies of meat in one go. I think I have to watch for high-energy food in the underwater chests, since just eating ordinary food makes my jaws ache. After finishing and a sip of Sprite to cut grease, I burp loudly. The system pings the daily night warning, which I auto-filter, but the next ping nearly makes me jump. Water Blue Star survivors, please note that due to the demise of a low Martial world, 300 humans from that world will be added to each Water Blue Star survivor's novice area, and detailed information will appear on each light screen. Damn it, I no longer care about sleeping. The low martial world information says the world possessed internal martial arts masters who cultivate inner chi and some external martial arts masters in smaller numbers, with the vast majority still ordinary humans, and universal language has been implanted in all of them. The precautions tell me their islands may appear next to mine at any time, that they are not friendly, and that to make friends I can try to conquer them with personal charm. The novice protection period has not even ended, and the system keeps pulling stunts. Could I not just develop steadily, I gripe. I tap into chat. Survivors panic. Someone says if the system wants him dead, just kill him directly, since he is not Liu Bang and cannot conquer ancient people from a low martial world with personal charm. Another says try and you die. A leveler reminds the channel that not everyone in that world is a master, that the vast majority are ordinary, and our advantages over them in knowledge are real, and that with food we might even lure a few into becoming subordinates if we do not encounter the powerful ones. Another agrees the levels make sense as long as we avoid the masters. I exit the chat without speaking. As I am thinking, the 2 mermaid guards said to chill down my spine. Master, an anomaly 200 meters southeast, an island has appeared out of nowhere. I rush to the edge. With the solar lights, I vaguely see the outline of a small island. I cannot be unlucky enough to encounter a martial arts master as the first transmigrator, can I? I think, my head aching at the prospect of losing sleep. I plan a stealth scout. As long as I see the person from a distance, insight will tell me whether the other party is a threat. Otherwise, leaving an unknown next to my island would kill my sleep. Goal Il, bring 3 greatsword skeletons over, I tell the villa. Goal Il, the greatsword skeleton I appointed captain, immediately leads 3 skeletons toward me. Gyo Il, Gyo Yi, take 2 each, I tell the 2 mermaid guards in the water. Confirmed. They nod. Jump in. I point to the sea. The greatsword skeletons obey without hesitation. If the mermaid guards had not caught them in the water, the skeleton frames would have sunk straight to the bottom. Soon 2 greatsword skeletons cling to each mermaid guard's back. I plunge into the water with a powerful dive. The seawater is bone-chillingly cold at night, but in cold-proof clothing and with physique above 8, I feel only slightly cool. Let's go, I say, and submerge. The mermaid guards submerge with the skeletons on their backs and swim toward the suddenly appearing island. On that island stands a middle-aged man with a full beard, holding a 9-ring greatsword, expression slightly ferocious. At this moment he is kneeling on the ground, kowtowing, muttering for an immortal grandpa to spare his life, claiming he has an 80-year-old mother above and a 3-year-old child below crying for food, and begging to leave this cursed place. After realizing the muttering is useless, he stands up, curses, and demands to be sent back, threatening that his brothers from Fierce Tiger Stockade are not to be trifled with. He is clearly still confused about his situation. While he begs and rants, several heads emerge near his island. 200 meters is fast for me and the mermaid guards. With the moonlight I see the man on the island. Insight reads him. Human, name Yupyo, strength 3+2, constitution 3.5+3, spirit 1, weapon 9-ring greatsword, cultivation method iron shirt minor accomplishment, with the parentheses representing iron shirt bonuses. Martial skill 5 tiger breaking door blade major accomplishment. Overall combat power ordinary tier 5-7. Personality extremely vicious. A serial killer. A fence sitter. Difficult to control recommended elimination. My luck is unmatched. The first transmigrator I encountered is a martial artist. Gyo Il, Gyo Yi, send Gol Il and them onto the island. I instruct, ruthlessness flashing in my eyes. Against an uncontrollable potential threat, I would rather strike first. As for whether killing an unwronged human from another world is moral, I do not care. This is no civilized society. The strong remain strong, the weak remain weak, and weakness is the original sin. Gol Il, after landing, kill the opponent as quickly as possible, I whisper to the captain. The soul fire in Gol Il's skull flickers, and the head nods mechanically. Gol Il and the 4 greatsword skeletons are sent ashore by the 2 mermaid guards. The movement does not escape Yupyo. The island is too small to hide. Damn, what kind of monster is this? He gasped under the moonlight as several skeletons with white flames in their skulls appear. A bone-chilling cold sweeps across his head. Gol Il, wielding the 100 refined goose feather saber I bestowed, attacks first. The other 3 greatsword skeletons lag slightly. The ferocity in Yupyo overcomes his fear at the last moment, and he backhand raises the 9-ring greatsword to block. Metal clashes. Gol Il's saber meets the 9-ring greatsword. Before Yupyo can celebrate the block, a horrifying scene unfolds. His 9-ring greatsword breaks at the impact point, snapping in half. The momentary distraction is fatal. Gol Il, unaffected, immediately unleashes a strike from chaotic cloak swordplay at extreme speed, beheading Yupyo. After the kill, Gol Il reaches out, picks up the head, places it in front of his own skull, and streams of white gas flow from the head into the soul fire in his skull. I leap onto the island using the momentum. This is absorbing soul power, I realize, watching Gol Il. I scan his attributes. Greatsword skeleton at strength 8, constitution 7, spirit 5, weapon 100 refined goose feather saber, skill chaotic cloak swordplay, overall combat power rating ordinary 8th tier with black iron 0 tier. When Gol Il stops absorbing, all his attributes are up by 1 point and his basic combat power is up 1 tier. His bones look more lustrous. The system pings me on a successful slay of the island lord and tells me the island will become ownerless, and asks whether to generate an island heart. Generate. Streaks of yellow light condense at the center, eventually forming a crystal-like light yellow island heart. I tell Gol Il to return to Gyo Il and Gyo Yi first. When Gol Il and the others are on Gyo Il's back, I pick up the heart, which has fallen to the ground, heavy. I sprint to the edge and plunge in. Back on my own island, the previously intact unmanned island shatters and sinks. The system asks whether to use a level 1 island heart to fuse with my owned island. Yes. The next second the island grows to 506 square meters, roughly 22.5 meters by 22.5 meters. After resolving a safety hazard, I let out a long sigh. I tell Gyo Il, Gyo Yi, and the 4 goblins to be vigilant tonight and to report any anomalies immediately. They confirm and nearly break their chest bones patting them. I walk to the villa, change clothes, and lie on the Simmons bed. Sleepless. Thoughts swirling, I tap into chat again. Survivors call to the big shots for help, reporting that an island has appeared not far from theirs. Another exclaims he sees someone floating toward him on the water. Another asks the floating brother whether he is okay and tells him to say something if alive. The reply comes that he is still alive but a prisoner, that a middle-aged old nun slapped him to the ground and asked where this place is. Another asks whether he ran into Master Extinction or some Southern Sea Divine nun. Another tells him he has watched too many TV dramas and that there is no such coincidence. Another notes that many people are encountering low Marshall World islands refreshing nearby, with even guys walking on water, and wonders whether that brother is unlucky enough to have encountered a top expert. After flipping through the records, I speculate. I also noticed the so-called 7-day protection period seems somewhat of a sham, since when I dispatched Golil to kill Yupio, no system prompt told me to wait until the novice period ended. This could be a hidden rule encouraging lords to fight each other and snatch hearts. Not yet sure if hidden rules truly exist, my gaze falls on the screen again. I am more concerned about the survivor who reported being slapped to the ground by someone treading waves. He posts in chat that he feels done for, that the old nun is not a good person, and has told him she is from the demonic sect. Other survivors tell him to hang in there, to bluff first, and to make something up and try to fool her. On his island, Ocheon is curled on the ground with a chill in his heart and an old nun with an evil expression standing over him. The nun tells him to explain what this place is, promising a quick death if he speaks humbly and warning that otherwise she will make him wish for death yet unable to die. Ocheon, with a foot pressing harder on his head, cries for his life and begs her to spare him, telling her he will talk. The right protector of the demonic cult of the former low martial world, Nun Boltai, slowly removes her foot, giving him a moment of breath. Ocheon cautiously explains that he does not know much, telling her that all living supplies in this place must be obtained by fishing chests from the sea, and then opening them for food, fresh water, and survival items, and that new players are given a fishing rod and 10 portions of bait. He asks the nun whether she has claimed hers. A considerable question rises in Nun Boltai's mind, since she wonders whether this could be the work of an immortal. She also sees the light screen, but for some special reasons concerning Water Blue Star, she, a person from a low martial world, has not awakened any talent. She demands to know why he says 10 portions when she only has 5, her expression turning ugly. As a protector of the demonic cult, she is not a fool, and she has slowly calmed down and sorted out her situation. Combining the screen information, she is now clear about what she needs to survive. She tells him to stop the nonsense and hand over his bait, stomping his head into the dirt again. Oh, Cheon curses her internally as a bitch and begs for his life, telling her the bait is long used up but that he can still claim 1 minimum guarantee portion every day, asking her not to kill him since he is still useful. She calls him a useless thing and tells him to get lost, releasing pressure and kicking him in the stomach hard enough to almost knock him out cold. She takes her own fishing rod, walks to the edge and tries fishing. She does not directly kill him, since she feels the fellow has some use, since she figures even his combat power would lose to her world's farmers who know a bit about farming. In chat, Ocheon complains that he survived but the days ahead will probably be worse than death, and hopes a big shot will save him. Another prays no martial arts experts spawn near his island, and that if anything must spawn, just a normal person. Another prays nothing spawns at all and asks to get through the protection period safely first. I, lying on the Simmons bed in my villa, see Ocheon's message and my eyes flicker. Ordinary firearms at close range should still threaten experts from the low martial world. I need to arm a few goblins too. Thinking of the wave treading expert, I am restless. I get out of bed and head back to the edge with the rod. I had overestimated Nun Boltai, by the way. She could tread waves only because Ocheon's island and hers were very close, only about 20 meters apart. At 100 meters she would have to swim, even with her strength. Insight reads chests. A 1-star ordinary chest with an ordinary spear. Another 1-star with a box of Mao Tai liquor. A 2-star ordinary chest with a Desert Eagle pistol, and 8 rounds of ammunition. I tell myself this is the one. I bait, cast at the area and tell the 4 goblins to watch. I keep searching. After most of the night and double happiness in tow, I have 4 pistols and several hundred rounds of ammunition. The most lethal firearm in 2-star chests is the pistol, in my reckoning. Sniper rifles, RPGs, and Vulcan Gatling guns I have not seen. As for 5 stars, I encounter them less often, so whether more advanced firearms are inside is unknown. I call Jael and the others over. The 4 goblins, who have been pulling the simple net half the night, scurry over with their short legs and ask their master what his orders are. I tell them each to take one of the pistols and follow me, glancing at the 4. After distributing the pistols, I walk to the target area set up with wood. I tell them to watch carefully how I use the weapon, that each of them will get 15 bullets later, and that they should practice their aim well. They nod rapidly. I demonstrate opening the safety, pulling the trigger, and changing rounds, then step aside. The first to step up is Jael. He recalls my actions, raises the pistol, aims at the wood target, and fires. The goblin race's firearm talent is stronger than ordinary humans. With his first shot, Jael hits the target. Not bullseye, but close. I tell them to practice well and that I want to see their progress tomorrow morning and head back for sleep. They reply that they understand and will not disappoint me, patting their chests. After I return to the villa, Jael and the others practice as if injected with chicken blood, hearts excited. They have finally been noticed by their master, with more and more big brothers on this island, and they fear being abandoned later if they cannot show value. They practice with full concentration, summarizing each shot's mistakes before firing the next, more meticulously than I had practiced. As for me, I have stared at the sea most of the night, my eyes ache, and I sleep with earmuffs on. The night passes quietly apart from the occasional gunshots. When the sky brightens again, I get up, stretch, wash up simply, eat bread and breakfast meat with a large bottle of milk, and walk out of the villa. The 4 goblins are standing upright at the entrance like guards. They have practiced through the latter half of the night and waited at the door without sleep. Looks like you have practiced well. Let me see, I tell them. Eagerness for performance fills their faces. I walk back to the target area. Jail, you go first. Jail walks to a spot 10 meters from the target, concentrates, and fires. A bullet hole appears in the center of the wooden target. Not bad, next. I smile and wave. J. Sam, J Saw fire 1 each, and all 4 shots hit the bullseye, meeting my requirement. Alright, you can go. I will call you if I need anything. I prepare to start fishing. The system pings the daily on-list bait reward in time. Claim, I confirm. And the 20 portions go aside. Insight reads a stretch with a 5-star wooden chest 5 meters down, containing 2 portions of black iron grade bait. Good luck today. A good start. I attach an enhanced bait and cast at the spot. This time the wait is longer, since the chest takes about 20 minutes to bite. The float dips. I yank hard. The chest, sensing trouble underwater, tries to escape, but with my brute force on the island, the slight resistance is nothing. My strength on the island is almost breaking through 15, making me a humanoid Tyrannosaurus Rex. The chest comes ashore. I touch it. Double happiness gives me 2 portions of black iron grade bait times 2. Black iron grade bait fishes black iron grade 1-star to 3-star chests, with composition of 1 low-grade energy stone and 1 black iron grade treasure chest fragment. The note says starting from black iron grade chests, there are no half-star divisions and star ratings. The composition materials are getting more complex. My head aches since I currently have none of them. Forget it, I tell myself. See if there are any black iron grade chests nearby to try my hand. I scan around the edge of the island. After walking around, I do not see any trace of a black iron grade chest. When I want it, the thing never shows, but the moment I stop caring, it slaps me across the face every single time. Evil, I think. Just evil. I drop the thought and tell myself to settle for the next best play, which means putting my back into the 5-star wooden chests and letting the universe do whatever it wants with the rest. 2 heads break the water in front of me a beat later. My mermaid guards rising out of the sea like dripping statues, and Gyo-il reports that they have run into another sea monkey underwater and put it down already. I stare at them and a stupid little thought flickers through my head, the kind I cannot help, asking myself whether I have stumbled into a sea monkey nest that hatches a new one every dawn. I wave them off and tell them to throw the corpse to the carnivorous plants, casual, like I am tossing a scrap to the dog, because at this point sea monkeys are background noise and I have stopped paying attention to anything that small. Already a man with a system, already letting the help do the dishes. I drop back into the communication channel to see what a night of fermentation has cooked up among the survivors, who actually touched the people from the low martial worlds. Most of the chatter is fear sweat, somebody describing an old nun who is too busy fishing to torment him properly. Somebody else asking if the low martial artists are really the kind who kill without blinking, like in the old TV dramas. A third voice cuts in to say the demonic path crowd is exactly like that, and the righteous path is full of hypocrites who smile in public and gut you in private, so when you run into one of them all you can do is pray. Somebody else volunteers a useful detail, claiming the low martial folk only start with 5 portions of ordinary bait, and adds that they may or may not have woken talents. No one is sure yet. I read it all twice, parking it in the back of my head because the threads with actual contact are still thin, and a lot of survivors may have run into someone already and simply kept their mouths shut. Filtering for signal is a survival skill all its own, I tell myself, especially when half the room is screaming. The bait theory matches what I saw last night. When I looked at the man named Yupio through my insight talent, I never spotted any awakened talent on him, and at the time I let that slide without thinking. Now that I am turning it over in daylight, I feel a small itch of regret, the kind that means I should have kept him alive for an hour longer, asked the right questions, and then taken his head. I make a note to be smarter about prisoners next time and let the regret die there, because I am not in the business of mourning my own efficient murders. Then a black text prompt pops up against the wall of white prompts skimming across the sea, striking like a firefly against a black sky. 2-star black iron grade treasure chest, 10 meters down, fishing recommended. I am already standing before the line finishes scrolling, already pulling out the black iron grade bait and threading it onto the hook. I adjust the float, set my stance, and cast hard, and the moment the bait kisses the water, every ordinary wooden chest in the area scatters like minnows, as if the black iron grade bait carries a scent they cannot stomach. Repellent effect, I note, useful, and I settle in to wait. An hour drags past and my backside is going numb. The float still has not twitched, and if it were not for the occasional white chest prompts blinking on around the perimeter, I would have started to suspect the 2-star black iron grade had walked itself off down the shelf. Then the float plunges. The line snaps taut and the pull almost rips me off the chair. Lucky my body is what it is now, because the moment I steady I am locked in like a seasoned angler, and no matter how hard the thing below pulls, it cannot drag me anywhere. The insight readout writes itself across my eyes. 2-star black iron grade treasure chest. Contents: a level 1 phantom array disc. Fishing technique: short quick yanks paired with slow releases. The introduction underneath tells me the phantom array disc is the simplest illusion array from a certain cultivation world, the kind low-level cultivators use to drape over their cave dwellings so ordinary mortals walk past and never see the entrance. The disc eats 1 ordinary energy crystal every 2 days at maximum coverage of 1,000 square meters, or you can stuff in a low-grade energy crystal and run it at full for 2 months and change. Place the stone, draw the area, mark yourself or any living being you want shielded, and the array ignores you while confusing everyone else. Only catch: anyone with a mental attribute above 10 sees right through it. A cultivation array on day whatever this is. Holy cow, I think the system is shoving me down the road of the immortals whether I asked or not. I shake off the stupor and start reeling. Short quick yanks, slow release. Exactly as Insight prompts, and the black iron grade chest fights me for a full half hour before I drag it onto the shore. It really is a different animal from the wooden chests, I tell my arms as the soreness sets in. Then comes the chime I have started to love. Double happiness has triggered automatically, I am told, and I have obtained level 1 phantom array disc times 2. 2 simple round discs sit in the chest in front of me, plain patterns etched into the faces, the kind of thing that would look like a coaster if you did not know better. I grab one. Insight has already loaded the operating manual into my head, and it is genuinely foolproof. Slot the crystal, set the radius, mark the inhabitants, walk away. I take an ordinary energy crystal back to the bungalow, drop it into the center hole, and feel the disc wake under my palm. Following the prompt manual, I throw the array out wide and let the whole island vanish under it, a free invisibility cloak large enough to swallow a city block on a day I was just trying to fish. Out in the water, JEL and JE have stopped working entirely because the island they were standing next to a heartbeat ago has just become empty sea. Panicking, they rush the surface to see what has happened, and they swim straight into the foundation stones at the edge of the island with 2 heavy thuds, their heads bouncing off rock. They cry out in pain and the noise yanks my attention down, and when I see them down there in the water, my eyelids twitch on their own. 2 idiots, I think, gentle as I can manage. I reach for the array disc again, widen the radius a step, and stamp array marks onto JE and JE so they stop walking into my own walls, and the 2 of them rub their eyes like they have just woken up from a dream, baffled by the island that has reappeared in front of them. Then I call Jael and Gyo-Ye over, voice low and flat, the master voice they answer to without thinking. Jael drops his hoe and jogs across the dirt, while the 2 mermaids climb out of the surf and hurry up the slope. I lay out their orders without dressing them up. Jael will take Go-Il and 4 greatsword skeletons, board the speedboat, and sweep the nearby waters for any other small islands. Gyo-Il and Gyo-Ye will run escort underwater so nothing comes up at the boat from below. If they find an uninhabited deserted island, they go straight in and bring the island heart back to me. If the island is inhabited, they come back first and report. Jael answers first, promising to complete the mission, and the 2 mermaids chime in a beat behind him, swearing the speedboat will stay in one piece. I wave them off. 8 nautical miles to the southeast, Jael keeps his head down behind the wheel. The mermaids slip into the dark water beside the hull. Golil and the rest of the greatsword skeletons stand on deck like furniture you would not want to argue with. While they are running the patrol, I drop back into my chair and bait the line again. Insight throws me another Bray readout almost immediately, telling me a 5-star wooden pet treasure chest is sitting 5 meters down right off the rocks. Contents marked as 1 ordinary pet. Jade Claw Sea Eagle. The fine print warns me that pet chests require a trial, in this case a deterrence trial, and if I cannot intimidate the Jade Claw Sea Eagle inside the chest, then it will not accept me as master. The data card on the bird itself reads like a lottery ticket. Mortal bird tier, medium raptor, a threat of spirituality, an unactivated divine bird bloodline, recommended for serious cultivation. Bloodline tier 1, flame hawk, awakening progress 0 out of 10, fire attribute leaning, accelerable by fire attribute spirit plants. Holy cow, I think. I am at a loss for words. This is an early game pet that puts most early game pets to shame. I yank the chest out of the water with a hard, clean pull and let it sit on the sand without opening it. A trial means a trap and a trap means preparation, and what I need to do here is overwhelm the bird the second it draws breath in this world. I call Jie and the goblins over and gesture out a big simple cage. One side open, big enough to hold something the size of a divine beast. They grab saws and chisels and get to work, and with goblin hands the cage materializes in record time. Simple, but stupidly sturdy. I place the chest at the door of the bungalow, fetch a slab of beef from the kitchen, and wait. When the cage is ready, I have them drop it over the chest. Then I walk to the side of the villa and call every bandaged mummy and every greatsword skeleton not out on patrol to come close. They rise out of sleep one after another and converge until the cage is ringed in, undead. A welcoming committee with knives drawn, I think, the kind even a divine bird should be able to read. I reach through the cage bars, lay my fingers on the chest, and silently will it open. A flash of white light, and a jade claw sea eagle the length of a divine beast materializes inside the wooden cage, a magnificent shape that lets out one sharp cry as if announcing itself to the world. A heartbeat later, the spirituality in it kicks in and it senses what it is woken into. A circle of ill-intentioned gazes pinned to every feather, and its hackles rise. I draw the 100-forged goose feather saber and lay the flat of it across the top of the cage. Around me, the greatsword skeletons mirror the motion with their own blades, and the bandaged mummies stare in like they will tear the bird apart at the first sign of pride. I tell it, in the flat narrator voice of a man who is not joking, to submit or die. Most animals in nature understand fortune and disaster on instinct, and this bird, which has already touched spirituality, understands it faster than most. The pressure of so many monsters glaring at it from every angle becomes more than it can carry, and a wise creature bows to the moment. The jade-claw sea eagle lowers its head to me and accepts. The ding lands almost on cue. I have successfully deterred the pet inside the 5-star wood pet treasure chest and passed the trial, the system tells me. And double happiness is triggered again, so 2 identical jade-claw sea eagles share the cage now instead of 1. I have the goblins lift the cage off. The 2 birds flare their wings, kick into the air with one excited cry, circle once over the island like they own the sky, and glide down to my arm when I extend it. Sharp little claws, I tell them, almost fond, almost. If my skin were not already what it is now, I would not be brave enough to let either of these creatures perch on me bare-armed. 2 birds on one arm and a working air force on day 8 or whatever this is. I feed them strips of raw beef out of my hand, give them a soft order to go scout the nearby sea, and watch them lift off into the blue. Then I take up the rod and start a new round of fishing while my new air force shrinks into specks above the waterline. Out at sea, Jail is the one who spots them. Standing at the wheel of the speedboat, he points into the distance and calls down to the water, voice a little excited, telling the 2 mermaid brothers to look at what might be 2 small islands sitting almost on top of each other. Gyo-il surfaces, takes a hard focused look, and confirms in his low voice that there are indeed 2 islands almost touching. He tells the rest of them to wait where they are, that he is going in alone to check. Without waiting for Jail to argue, he leaves Gyo-yi to guard the boat and submerges, cutting through the water toward the distant landmasses. Jail cuts the throttle and waits, and the greatsword skeletons on the deck do what they always do, which is stand in silence as obedient tools, because they cannot speak and there is nothing to ask them anyway. What none of them know yet is that the 2 adjacent islands Jail has just spotted belong to Nun Bolte and Ocheon, the man who was complaining in the communication channel about being beaten black and blue. On Nun Bolte's island, the situation is exactly as ugly as the channel chatter suggested. She has fished all night, her bait is gone, and she is now glaring down at Ocheon where he lies curled on the ground. She accuses him of being useless and demands to know why she has not seen any of the daily bait he claims he can pull from the system. He bites back at her in his own head, calling her a dead nun and promising himself that if he gets even one opening he will kill her, but his ribs and the strong will to survive keep most of that locked behind his teeth. What comes out is a careful, broken explanation that whatever he can claim each day he has already handed over, and that he has no idea why she sees nothing on her own end. His tone is shaped to keep her hands still. The lie holds because he has been smart enough to give her only the irrelevant parts of what he knows. After a night of her interrogation, he has worked out that the light screen panel she received is a cut-down version. She has not mentioned the communication channel. She has not mentioned the trading channel. She has not so much as breathed the words prosperity value. So he is keeping every one of those concepts buried, on the theory that the less his enemy knows, the longer his life lasts. Her face goes more sinister at his answer, and stays that way, but the killing intent stalls just short of the edge. Last night burned her bait on basic survival supplies. Nothing valuable enough to feed her for days, and as long as Ocheon is the only daily bait source on this rock, she will not snap his neck. So he survives this round, just barely, tormented but breathing. He calculates the hunger in his stomach against the timeline, and figures 2 or 3 days before he kicks the bucket on the spot, and a quiet panic worms through him. Then Nun Boltai turns her head sharply to the sea and demands to know who is there, low voice, killer voice. Ocheon levers himself up enough to look and sees nothing but flat water. He decides she is jumpy and wonders, half hysterical, if she has spotted a sea monkey. What she has actually felt is the faint pressure of being watched, an instinct that does not lie to her. Even if when she follows it back to the source she finds only calm sea. She rages at Ocheon all the same, demanding to know what else lives in this stretch of water, and he, lying on the ground with his cheek in the dirt, plays his role to perfection. He tells her he is too weak to have survived anything dangerous out here, that if there were creatures in the sea, a guy like him would be dead already. She buys it. From her angle it makes sense, because in her mind a worm like Ocheon would have been crushed long ago if anything serious lived nearby. For a second she even questions herself, wondering if the pressure is in her own head, stress and isolation playing tricks. He talks her down without batting an eyelid, and she lets it go. She is being lied to with the calmest face on Water Blue Star, and she does not know it. What she also does not know is that under the surface, 10 meters out, Jail has lifted his head out of the water just enough to survey the 2 adjacent islands with quick, careful eyes. One island has no one on it. The other has 2 people. As he tries to ease closer for a better look, his instinct snaps, telling him that one of those 2 humans is not simple, that she carries a vague edge of danger, and he submerges before she can find him in turn. He swims fast back to the speedboat and surfaces only long enough to shout at Jael that there are 2 humans on one of the islands, then dives again. Jael throttles up and turns the speedboat home along the route they came. Back on my island, the rod jumps again and I drag up something rare. The insight prompt gives it a name I never expected to read out here. First generation intelligent robot. Household model, technological product from a certain world. Capable of simple autonomous conversation. Primary function household cleaning and water and electricity repair. With a built-in recipe library that lets it autonomously cook anything as long as the ingredients are in the kitchen. Combat ability rated slightly above an adult male. Solar or electrical power, recommended to leave it in the sun when the battery is low. I look at the 2 metal shells the chest has spat out and feel a small flicker of disappointment, because nothing about them looks remotely human. They are just iron cases with screens. I shrug at myself, mutter that at least I do not have to cook anymore, and press the power button on the chest of each one. A polite chime announces that robot number 10086 is booting up. Please wait. Startup successful, please hold the power button for binding. I hold. 2 voices in chorus tell me the binding is complete and that they are pleased to serve me. I tell them they need new names, and I name them number 1 and number 2 on the spot, and they accept the rename without complaint. Then I send number 1 into the villa to connect the diesel generator I fished up weeks ago to the pre-wired circuits, and number 2 to take whatever is in the kitchen and lay out a proper table of dishes for me. They walk off, identical, polite, useful. Finally electricity, I think. Watching their backs. The villa was always wired for it. I just never learned to splice the lines. 2 more eagle cries cut across the sky, and my new Air Force comes back hot. The 2 Jade Claw Sea Eagles diving like loosed arrows and pulling up just before they brain themselves on my shoulders. Real flight skill. They perch on my shoulders and chirp at me, animated like they have something to report. I am lost. I make a guess and point at the ground, asking if they have found a place out there. It must be that the island's bonus has pushed my mental power past 10, because my words pick up a thread of mental weight, and the 2 birds nod like chickens pecking rice. Holy cow, I think. They really have caught a piece of spirit. They actually understand me. They tilt their heads in disdain in response, very much expressing that they cannot believe they ended up with such a fool of a master. A pair of feathered critics, and I cannot even argue. Before I can ask anything more, the speedboat motor cuts the air. Jael pulls in at the edge of the island and reports up to me from the water, 8 nautical miles southeast. 2 adjacent islands, one with a man and a woman on it, the other empty. I ask him for distinguishing details on the 2 humans. He says the man looked ordinary, nothing special, but the woman radiated a vague danger, a feeling that he would run into serious trouble if he went ashore, so he turned around without approaching. The detail clicks against what the communication channel told me about Nun Bolte and Ocheon almost perfectly, and I tell my crew to hold while I think. I open the communication channel, scroll to the man named Ocheon, and after a beat I send him a private chat request. On the other island, Ocheon is lying in the dirt feeling worse than dead when a prompt rings in his head, telling him that region number 1 on the prosperity ranking, Soyu, is requesting a private chat. He hisses in surprise and pinches himself hard to check whether he is hallucinating, then immediately yelps from the pain. The yelp catches Nun Boltai's attention, but only for half a second. She glances over, decides he must have rolled onto a wound, and goes back to her business. She has no idea he is excitedly pinching himself. Once Ocheon is sure she is not watching, he silently accepts the chat, and before I can even open my mouth across the channel, he has fired off a message that reads like a drowning man grabbing at a rope, asking what I want of him, and whether I am there to save him, and offering to do anything I ask. I keep it short and brutal. I ask if he can shoot a gun. If yes, I can pass him a pistol. If no, forget the conversation happened. He stares at my message and his breath quickens. He has handled a pistol exactly once, in a university military training course, and his accuracy is suspect, but he can absolutely shoot one if he has to. He fires back that he can, that he handled a regular pistol during that training, and that he can operate one cleanly. Good enough. I tell him to put any item up on the trading platform, any junk at all, set the exchange to 1 regular pistol, and I will trade it through. He posts an ordinary small stone, exchange item 1 ordinary pistol, and I find his slip on the board and trade in. The system pings him with a trade successful notification a moment later. He suppresses his excitement, hands shaking, and does not claim the pistol on the spot. Instead, he stays flat on the ground and watches Nun Boltai out of the corner of his eye as she sits in meditation, a short distance away, eyes closed, and he plans the timing of the kill with everything he has. Knowing the gap in their strength, he is sure he gets 1 shot at this. If he misses, he is the one who dies. Throw a gun at a desperate man and you get either an answer or a corpse, and I am fine with either result. I call my 4 goblins over while Ocheon is plotting. I tell Jael and the rest to come with me and to bring pistols. The truth is that I am going to the island personally, and the gun in Ocheon's hand is a bet on convenience. Because if he can put the woman down himself, it saves me a fight and I can just walk in for the cleanup. Poor little Ocheon does not yet realize he is being used as a pawn. Then again, calling him a pawn is not quite fair, because at least the gun in his hand gives him a real chance. Without it, none Boltai could have squashed him on a whim like a chick the next time her mood turned. We launch. Jaeil drives, Golil and the goblins ride along. Gyoil and Gyoyi run under the hull. We angle southeast at speed. Back on the other island after a few more minutes of calculation, Ocheon picks his moment. He silently claims the pistol from the trading slot, palms it tight against his side, quietly thumbs off the safety, and forces his voice into wide-eyed surprise. He shouts to Nun Boltai across the dirt, calling her master and saying he has just received 2 more portions of ordinary bait. Hurry over and look. She opens her eyes, gets up, and crosses to him in a single brisk movement, and her gloomy voice lands when she is barely a meter from him, demanding the bait. He starts to answer her, voice steady, then in the same breath he yanks the pistol up between them and curses her, telling the dead nun to die for him as he pulls the trigger. Her sixth sense flares the instant the pistol clears the dirt, but she is not a body of bullet-eating innate true chi, and at that range there is no version of this where she dodges in time. 8 rounds go out, banging into the air like a man with no patience left, and 2 of them land where the body cannot afford it, 1 in her neck and 1 through her heart. If those 2 had drifted, she would have killed him on the way down. They do not drift. She hits the ground with terror still moving on her face, and Ocheon flops backward and lets out a heavy breath that has been bottled up for the better part of a night and a day. After a while he forces himself up, looks at her body, kicks her twice, and curses her. That was for hitting me, dead nun. He is just about to send me a thank you when an unfamiliar sound out on the water snags his attention, and his heart drops, because of course it would. Of course he cannot be that lucky. Not bad, I think, from the deck of the speedboat as we come up alongside the island. The kid actually pulled it off. Ocheon turns toward the unfamiliar sound on the water and finally sees what is making it, and his pupils shrink the way a man's pupils shrink when the universe shows him something he was not braced for. I read his data card from the speedboat as we drift in close. Human race, name Ocheon, strength 1, constitution 1, spirit 1.1, talent F rank rapid speed, overall combat power ordinary first order. I do not know whether there are rounds left in his pistol, and I do not feel like guessing with my own skin. So I pick the safest option and tell Golil to go up first and take the gun off the kid before I step ashore. Golil bolts onto the island at a speed Ocheon's eyes cannot quite track. The man freezes solid, teeth clattering, legs shaking, because anyone who watches a greatsword skeleton come at them with a blade and does not panic is lying about it. The pistol is out of his hand before he can even react, and Golil is holding it loosely as I step up onto the rocks behind him. A man can shoot a nun in cold blood and still wet himself for a skeleton. The hierarchy of fears is a beautiful thing. Ocheon snaps back to himself just in time to drop to his knees and beg me for mercy, telling me he has an 80-year-old mother to support and a 3-year-old child to feed. My eyelids twitch on their own. He is panicking because of where he is standing, surrounded by goblins and skeletons that read as monsters to him, and I am the one giving the orders to the monsters. Kill or not kill, I think, and the 2 little cartoon figures pop up in my head the way they always do when the decision is not clean. Little Black starts in first, telling me a man should kill without mercy, that all immortal legacies are built in killing, that to kill one is a sin but to slaughter 10,000 is heroic, that to slaughter 9 million is to become the hero among heroes. Little White cuts in with the other side of the argument, telling me the world is vast, but if one carries a single thought toward goodness and a heart of conscience, even common folk can become sages. Headache, I tell them both. How about a compromise? Just cripple him. Little Black has nothing. Little White has nothing. 2 voices in my skull, and the only one with a plan is the lazy one. Tragic. Looking down at him there in the dirt, I am, honestly, hesitating. I killed Yupio because Insight told me he was a ruthless killer who could not be controlled, and because his soul came from a world that had nothing to do with mine, which made him feel like an NPC in a game, and putting an NPC down is just putting an NPC down. Ocheon is different. His soul did not come from my world either, but Water Blue Star is at least a parallel of Earth, so there is some thread connecting us, and looking at a man with yellow skin of his own makes my hand slower than it should be. Of course, this is also because he is not my enemy. If he were, the hesitation would not exist. I make him an offer instead, voice low and even. Surrender to me, or die, and cut the small tricks, no messages in the communication channel, or you die anyway. He answers without a breath of delay, telling me he surrenders. His data card updates. Loyalty 30. My face cools by a degree just looking at the number. No wonder this man flipped his own table and shot the old nun. The schemer has schemes. So I tell him my message was not clear enough, that what I want is the kind of surrender that lives in the heart and the mind, not the kind that lives on the mouth, and I rest a blade against his neck so he understands which one I am asking for. Feeling the cold edge against his skin, he swallows hard and stammers that he truly is convinced in his heart and mind. The loyalty stat climbs in real time, but it stops at 70 and refuses to budge another point. Half-hearted is the new black, apparently. I toss him a bottle of potion, casual, and tell him to drink. He stares at the green glow in his hands, terrified, but then his neck remembers the blade and he uncorks it and swallows. As soon as it hits his stomach, his face shifts because something is wrong. He can feel it, and what he feels is the man looking down at him becoming more and more pleasing to his eyes by the second, until a single thought blooms in his chest that he would willingly die for me. The ding lands a heartbeat after. Congratulations, I have successfully subdued my first island lord. Special treasure chest reward inbound. Claim it promptly. A second prompt tells me I can choose to extract the island power held by my new subordinate island lord and condense an island heart out of it. There is such a thing in this game. I think subdue an island lord and earn a special chest on top of the island heart. Fantastic. I do not pop the treasure chest on the spot. I select the extraction option and tell the system to condense an island heart out of Ocheon's island power. At the same time, Gyo-il and Gyo-yi climb out onto the dead nun's island and pick up the island heart that is formed automatically from her death. 2 island hearts, 1 converted prisoner, no losses on my end. Then we leave both islands behind on the speedboat, and once we are out of range, the 2 small rocks shatter and slide quietly into the sea. Back on my own island, I hand Ocheon off to Jae-il without a word and tell him to keep an eye on the man and arrange whatever work he is ready to handle. Then I march straight into the bungalow. The system asks me whether I want to spend the 2 level 1 island hearts on island area expansion, and sitting in the living room with 1 heart in each hand, I tell it yes. The island swells under me, the area jumping from 506 square meters to 706, only 94 short of letting me push my island lord rank to level 4. After the hearts are spent, I eagerly claim the special treasure chest. Inside is a special cultivation method, the soul scripture, first scroll. The description names it as a cultivation method for the soul body, capable of strengthening the spirit attribute, and notes that a master of this technique can sway the thoughts of ordinary beings. The accelerated cultivation method calls for soul-guiding incense, with burning camphor wood as the carrier. I was a man with a fishing rod last week, and now I'm being handed a cultivation technique because I subdued someone. The trajectory is absurd. Honestly, I was not expecting a cultivation technique. I half thought the chest would spit out a weapon or a stat boost. After I take a beat, I tell the chest to open in my head, and the chime comes back with double happiness automatic trigger. 2 soul scripture first scroll jade slips, just like the transmission jade slips in cultivation novels. I glance at the slip in my palm, set it against my forehead, and follow Insight's instructions for use without thinking, because Insight has already loaded the operating manual into me. When the slip touches my skin, a stream of information pours into my mind in text and images, and the mental power I have been carrying around without knowing how to use suddenly comes alive under my attention. I drop into my first cultivation session right there, jade slip guiding me through it. Time stretches and bends while I am inside it. On the surface of the island, Ocheon has gotten to work without being told. Because his loyalty is sitting at 100 points, he is genuinely happy to bend for me, and right now he is tilling soil and watering plants like a man with nowhere else he would rather be. The moment he lost his island lord status, he became an ordinary person. No communication channel, no trading channel, the light screen gone entirely. The only consolation is that he is alive, and that under my roof he does not have to worry about food or drink, since I have always been generous to subordinates who actually earn it. Night falls quietly over the island during my cultivation. A prompt warns me about the temperature drop and reminds me to keep warm. I do not hear it. Night recedes again, sunlight refills the sky, and I finally come out of my first session of the soul scripture to a chime telling me to claim my 5-day ranking treasure chest and basic reward bait promptly. Over a dozen hours in one sit, I realize, no wonder my stomach feels hollow. Before I eat, I bring up my personal attribute interface to see what the cultivation has changed. Level 3 Island Lord. Island area 706 square meters. Upgrade experience 706 over 800. Name Soyu, age 23. Strength 8.2 with a 7.06 bonus. Constitution 8.6 with the same bonus on top. Cultivation technique listed as Soul Scripture first scroll. Skill Hypnosis, capable of consuming mental power to hypnotize ordinary creatures and subconsciously guide memory modification at 1 point of mental power per minute. Combat Power Black Iron 0 rank to Black Iron 1 rank. Slaves 4 low-level goblins for 20 island prosperity. 10 bandaged mummies for 150. The parentheses values are the on-island bonuses that drop away when I step off the rock. Island prosperity 3600 points. Regional rank 1, with subline items for the bungalow at 100, goblins at 20, sapling at 100, fertile soil at 160, carnivorous plants at 40, and so on. Talents still read SSS grade insight. Unknown grade double happiness. Upgradable. The channels and the prosperity rankings sit underneath. My base mental attribute has hit 10 on its own merit. I've picked up a hypnosis ability, and my baseline combat power has crossed from ordinary into Black Iron 0 rank. Solid morning's work for a man who was just sitting still. A free skill named Hypnosis is the kind of thing I will be quietly thrilled about for weeks. I close the panel and claim the 5-day ranking treasure chest. Description: contains 1 island area fragment for 30 square meters. Double happiness triggers again on cue, and the count doubles to 2 fragments. I am no stranger to finding island area fragments inside ranking treasure chests, but the curve is starting to feel knowable now. Looking back at the 1-day chest, the 3-day chest, and now the 5-day chest, the fragment reward has gone up by 10 each time. Whether it stays linear or whether the curve breaks later, I do not yet know. But the current pattern is clean and I will plan against it until it changes. A growl from my stomach cuts the math short. Not eating for that long. Am I trying to cultivate immortality, I think? And I drop the analysis and walk into the living room. After I tell number 1 and number 2 to set me a table, I sit and start sketching in a small notebook while the food comes. From subduing Ocheon, I have realized there is more than one way to take another island lord's heart. Killing them works. Subduing them also works. If I can convert instead of killing, I should convert, because as the island grows, the manpower demand grows with it, and if I keep fishing up early high-tech thermal weapons, there is no way I can run everything by myself. So I divide the survivors in my book into rough buckets: ordinary survivors, exceptionally talented survivors, high-end talent survivors, and label the rough plan for each. When I bump into another island lord, I can pull this out, match the bucket, and tailor the persuasion to the actual person in front of me. Number 1 walks up beside me to say the food is ready. I tuck the notebook into my pocket and dig in. The cooking is genuinely good, no worse than a master chef's work, and a few minutes later I let out a hearty burp after the last sip of iced cola goes down. I tell the robots to clear the table and step outside, and the edges of the island have visibly pushed out again, another full circle. Currently, with the 230 square meter fragments freshly burned, my area sits at 766 square meters, almost a 27.7 by 27.7 box, just a hair short of the next bracket. A man with a personal chef, a personal bird, a personal accountant in his pocket, and a backyard that keeps growing on its own. I pick the fishing rod back up. I have several beginner fishing rods stacked in the villa at this point, but for low-grade chests I would rather just cast a net than wave a beginner rod around. It is faster and the yield is better. I do not let the goblins or Ocheon use the rods either, because they do not have my insight talent, and a rod in their hands is just a way to waste ordinary bait. It is much faster for me to spot the dense pockets, set them up there, and have them throw and pull nets directly. Soon enough I have several 2-star rich pockets marked, and JEL and the rest of the team are stationed on them. Then I start patrolling for black iron grade traces. With the island bigger, I can range farther and sense more, and as my own strength has climbed, insight has gotten better too. The white prompts now vary in brightness with the star rating. A 1-star wooden chest reading as a dim ghost, while a 5-star wooden chest blazes white, and black iron grade rendering in clean black text that pops out of the white wall instantly. It cuts the eye strain in half, which matters more than it sounds when I am working 100 prompts at a time. A 5-star wooden chest catches first. 5 meters down, 10 ordinary energy crystals inside. Fishing recommended. The contents are nothing rare to me at this point, but ordinary energy crystals are a strategic resource in the early game, and I am not in the habit of leaving them in the water. I pull it ashore and circle the perimeter again. From east to west, the insight finally lights up a 1-star black iron grade monster treasure chest. 8 meters down. Fishing recommended. I bait up with black iron grade, adjust the float, and drop the hook precisely into the marked spot. An hour drags. The float finally sinks, and the readout pops. 1-star black iron grade monster treasure chest contains 1 first-order ordinary fierce beast. Pincer crab defeat killer tame to claim. Pincer crab description: a lucky creature from a certain world that consumed rare sea treasures by chance and mutated physically, gaining a weak intelligence. Strength 10, Constitution 10, Spirit 3, skill pincer attack, which rapidly wields both pincers to deliver a fatal blow. Combat black iron grade 0 order. Combat tip: recommended to use hypnosis for mental control. Victory without battle preferred. My goodness, I swallow on reflex, not because I am hungry. Without the soul scripture in my back pocket, this thing might have flattened me. The base strength is 10, but that says nothing about the crushing force of those pincers. Thinking back to ordinary crab claws pinching skin in my last life, I can already picture what a pincer strike from a thing of this size and tier would do. Ordinary rebar would snap in its grip like chopsticks. I work the chest in slowly, short pulls and long releases, and after a full half hour the 1-star black iron grade monster chest is up on the shore. I haul it to a bare empty plot of the island that has not been planted yet, lay it down, touch it, will it open, and then leap a long way back. A dim black light flares, and a crab with a shell a full meter across appears on the sand, eyes still bewildered, brain still catching up to its sudden change of location. I do not waste the window. I channel the soul scripture and send a wave of mental energy at it, and the crab's confused little eyes start spinning in circles. I hold the hypnosis, dialing the suggestion toward closeness, toward this place feels like home, toward this bipedal creature in front of you as family. In its dim consciousness, those impressions settle in cleanly. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5, 10. By the time my forehead is damp with sweat, the pincer crab has lowered its guard entirely and is lying lazy on the dirt at a respectful distance. The chime hits. You have successfully tamed a first-order fierce beast pincer crab. Treasure chest reward 1 pincer crab. Double happiness triggers right behind it and the count doubles. 2 first-order ordinary fierce beasts pincer crab. I let out a heavy sigh, wipe the sweat with my sleeve, and walk over to the 2 crabs. By now, they have already imprinted on me, so they do not hostle up as I close the distance. They actually pivot their bodies toward me. Then they raise their pincers in what I belatedly recognize as a hug of love, which I do not want, so I shout for them to stop. They slam on the brakes and look at me with eyes full of mild grievance. 2-meter-wide affectionate pincers belonging to an animal that just snapped rebar in its mind. No thank you. I pat their shells gently to take the edge off the rejection, and they narrow their little eyes in pleasure, which is enough to fix the mood. To check the crushing force in earnest, I go into the bungalow and bring out a broadsword from one of the 2-star chests. I set it down in front of one of them and tell it to clamp the blade. The crab extends one pincer, closes, and the broadsword shatters with a crack. My eyelids twitch right on cue. As I suspected, those large crab claws treat ordinary iron the way I would treat tofu. I toss the surviving stub of the broadsword aside and walk them out to the edge of the island. Down in the water, Gyo-il and Gyo-yi have surfaced and are eyeing the 2 giant shapes coming down the slope behind me. Their instincts are screaming at them that they cannot beat these 2, that those 2 could probably kill them effortlessly. I gesture at the water and tell the crabs that the 2 creatures down there are on our side and not to hurt them by accident, and they wave both pincers to show they have understood. Because I am now cultivating the soul scripture and can manipulate mental power, I can read the spiritual fluctuations these creatures put out almost as clearly as language, which makes giving orders a much cleaner process than it used to be. I tell them to get into the water so I can see how fast they are once they are wet. They scurry to the edge on 8 legs and plunge in. When the crab shells, broad as dining tables, break the surface, I step from the shore onto one of them, steady myself, and tap a foot lightly against the shell as a go signal. The 2 crabs are delighted to get the order and immediately put on an aquatic performance. The one under me bursts forward and nearly throws me, then remembers its master is on its back and reins itself in, careful, cautious, holding speed in check. The other one, unburdened, kicks up a white wake across the sea and moves so fast it looks like it might take flight. After a quick lap, I tap to turn the one beneath me back toward home. And as I cross the last stretch, a white wake comes flying in from the other direction. The freestyle crab finished with its surfing and on its way back. I tell Gyo-il and Gyo-yi that when they next go out on patrol, they will take one of these 2 along. And the mermaids accept with a yes, master. A cavalry unit, mounted on 2 mutant crabs the size of dining tables. Day whatever this is, and I have a cavalry unit. After the crabs are settled, I get back to scanning for black iron grade chests and 5-star wooden chests, because the novice protection period ends soon, and nobody knows what the early days after it will look like. So the only sensible play is to fish frantically for anything that strengthens me or the island. While I work the perimeter, Gyo-il and Gyo-yi spend the time getting familiar with the 2 crab bosses, and they wind up as crab knights, mermaid on top, crab below. They are weaker than the crabs in raw stats, but their intelligence is better, so the pairing balances out nicely. Then, mid-patrol around the island, 5 figures break the water and come at them all at once. 5 sea monkeys at once where there used to be 1. Whether the spawn rate has scaled with the island's level I do not know yet, but the count has jumped. The sea monkeys make the worst possible choice, charging the crabs head on. The 2 crabs hammer 4 of them dead on the spot with synchronized left and right pinches. Simple and final. The 5th one slams on the brakes, hovers in the water, and stares at the bloody mess in front of it, trying to decide whether to run or commit. The crabs have no patience for the indecision. They accelerate forward together and crush the last one too. With their attributes versus the sea monkeys, it is not a fight, it is a massacre. 1 strike of a pincer and there is nothing left to fight back with. Gyo-il and Gyo-yi handle the aftermath, dragging the 5 corpses toward the surface. As soon as Gyo-il breaks the water, he shouts up that there is a situation. I am fishing on the opposite side of the island. The float in front of me sinks at the same instant. I yank a 5-star wooden chest onto the shore, scoop it under one arm, and walk fast toward Gyo-il. At the edge, I see the 5 sea monkey bodies floating on the water, and my expression shifts a degree. Why are there suddenly so many sea monkeys, I think? Could it be that as the island expands, more monsters spawn around it? I file the hypothesis. Before there was always 1. Now there are 5. There has to be a pattern in there. A petting zoo at first, a buffet later. I will take the buffet. I tell Gyo-il and Gyo-yi to throw all the corpses up onto the island. Then I call Go-lil over, because I want to see if he can still pull soul power out of sea monkey corpses that fresh. When Go-lil sees 5 fresh bodies, his entire frame rattles with excitement, smelling the lingering soul power on them. I gesture for him to eat. He has the potential to grow into a silver-grade skeleton general eventually, so prioritizing his diet is the obvious play. He pounces and starts devouring, and as he eats, I watch the changes happen in real time, parts of his bones shifting from snow white to black iron in color. the soul fire in his skull picking up a tint of green over the white. Nearing an advancement point, I realize, watching the shift, once Golil has stripped every last drop of soul power from the corpses, I bring up his stat panel. Undead race, Greatsword skeleton, Strength 11, Constitution 11, Spirit 9, Weapon 100 forged goose feather saber.